Yeah.
Well, you guys are going to trust me tonight. Well, what's going on, everybody? This is the Cloud9 podcast, season 4, episode 19. We're not going to go live for a little bit tonight because tonight I got to get up early in the morning. We were supposed to go live earlier, but he was busy doing something. I was busy creating content because, I'm literally the Netflix of, YouTube at this point. I have plenty of other videos dropping for you guys that I already recorded. I know you guys have liked me watching other people's videos and giving my opinions on what they're talking about. There's other videos I do plan on doing that for. There might be some Doublelift ones to watch, or I think ones from Cage Roll, those are the ones that I have in mind. But yeah, so here's how the show's going to go. We're going to talk about Worlds 2022. DRX did the Cinderella story. Then after that, talk about the offseason. As you guys know, the LEC 2022 offseason is pretty much complete. Like I told you before, I'm going to drop the videos I already did, and then I'm going to do a big video covering all the teams that have already gotten revealed. So people have asked me, what about Jacob Wolf? He's not really doing that this year. The other people that are as credible as Jacob Wolf are the people that I use in my videos. So the people that I use in my videos are credible people that I've been watching and going after for, a very long time. So people like Eli Cibulo, Alejandro Gomez, those are people that I have seen them get so many things right at this point. It's literally a 99.99% true thing. Now, if they ever get something wrong about how a contract has worked or how a player was transferred, they even say, hey, I was wrong. I'm deleting this information and I'm going to definitely update the thread. So that I deem very credible because, as someone who is doing kind of like journalistic things, it's very imperative for me that you can admit when you're wrong, or if you just messed up. Not that you're wrong. If you just mess up, it's fine. Just correct your mistake, because misinformation can be a very bad thing, Other than that, for North America, there's LCS that I've been following. He's been putting out some credible stuff. I have to follow him a bit more closely. But other than that, I'm pretty sure LEC Wula will be on the LCS stuff too. But all right, so Dragon X. Dragon X is a team I've been watching all year in the LCK. If you told me start of this year, Dragon X, team with Deft and Zeka, would win Worlds, I would have called you crazy. Zeka was in the LPL. He played on Vici Gaming. He played on BLG. And BLG went, you know what, Zeka, King in, we don't really need you. We'll take washed up. Well, not Uzi's not really, washed up, but they're like, you know what, we'll take just maybe random good players like Crisp, who was really only good in 2019. They played that one guy in the top lane. I forgot his name. But they brought over Ben. No, they had Breathe. And they gave Breathe to RNG again. That's a weird situation. I'll explain it later. But yeah, BLG completely fumbled the bag with that. So DRX was literally composed of 2 players thrown away by BLG. Deft, who had been pretty much one of the biggest chokers that I've seen in competitive League of Legends, not even based off his skill. Like, given how good this guy is, I don't know, somehow in his career, he inherited that clear love choking syndrome where he just completely would fumble the bag in big games consistently. I was surprised no one ever brought that narrative up. Clear love was a guy who clearly kept choking. Everyone noticed this guy is clearly not playing as well as he does in the LPL. Maybe he was homesick. Maybe playing in front of different crowds was uncomfortable for him. We'll never know why Clearlove was one of the most biggest chokers in League of Legends history. But Deft wasn't too far off of that. He's always had these weird spurts where he does bad in lane, but is so good in team fights that he makes up for it. So you have this roster of Kingin, Sick, Zeka, Deft, and Beryl. Beryl was someone that, Damwon, rightfully so, I think in that moment in time, got rid of because he was not playing too well with Ghosts. When you're on world championship caliber rosters like Damwon, if you don't play well, they just get rid of you. That's just how it works. Whether it's right or wrong doesn't really matter. It's just how these rosters work, So you have this roster of players that pretty much didn't do anything all year. They didn't even make playoffs in the spring, right? Because it was Fred Brion made it over them, and then Damwon beat them in round 1. They didn't even make spring playoffs the first time around. Then they finished fourth? They finished around 6th place in the LCK for summer. They got knocked out playoffs early on. They're supposed to get knocked out in the gauntlet. Those were close series. They went 3-2 in those series. They got to Worlds. They went undefeated in the play-in stage. They defeated their main competition, RNG, in the play-in stage. It was a really close game. Then you get to the group stage. They, you know, they go what 1-2 the first week. They lose to Rogue, and they lose to no. They go 2-1. Sorry, the only loss they dropped was against Rogue because Rogue were 3-0. Then they get out of the group, going for the week 2 because, well, guys, technically week 2 is different now because back in the day when we were watching, week 2 was literally you wait a week to play your X Games. Week 2 now is you just kind of play them when everyone else plays your first round robin of groups. So they play second round robin of groups. They get out first place. Like I said before, I think people were massively sleeping on Korean teams. I was like, Korean teams have never shown they're bad in group stages like ever. Faker's never gotten second place in a group stage once. Unless they somehow implode or they somehow start choking on stage, they're gonna have to prove they're bad to me. And the only Korean team not to get out of this first was Damwon against JDG. JDG and Damwon played extremely close games. That very last one they played was extremely close. Definitely Damwon favored. Chovy had this LeBlanc build that was low damage, and I was like, oh, this guy just threw the game. Chovy just threw that game for them. DRX faced EDG. Guys, I remember in game 3 against EDG. EDG are literally at what's the mid inhibitor turret? That's just the third tier.
It's just called
the third tier turret, right? In mid,
it's just
they're
called
literally at that turret. EDG are about to crack open the base and pretty much 3-0 the series. Dragon X somehow on their brains figure like, you know what, we probably can win this series. Reverse sweep, the second reverse sweep ever at Worlds, the second ever reverse sweep at Worlds of all time. Only the second one. The first one, if you guys asked, was by Top Esports and Fnatic back in 2020. That was the very first one that Worlds ever had. DRX reverse sweep EDG, last year's world champions. Then they beat the tournament favorites in Gen G, 3-1. That was actually the most convincing series of the whole playoff run they went. And then you had them facing against T1. Now, everyone was like, you know what, against T1, maybe the clock strikes midnight because sometimes when you get these kind of underdog teams, you know, the clock does strike midnight on them. It turns out maybe it's not that they weren't that good. It's just like when you face a team that's just much better than you, it doesn't really matter how good you're scaling up. You shouldn't be able to overcome a team that's just better than you. I've seen that time and time again, you know? But this series was the best finals that I've ever watched, honestly. It's crazy that this is only the third BO5 in Worlds Finals to go the distance. The only other two was the one you guys saw last year between Damwon and EDG and the one against Samsung Galaxy and SKT back in 2016. It's crazy. We've only gotten 3 actual BO5s at Worlds. Most of them are just pretty much stomps. So DRX definitely played well in the series. I'll say that. Game 1 was a stomp by T1. I mean, that was just a complete stomp. That was like, okay, let's just go home. Game 2, they played really well. Around, I think Beryl and Zeka were their MVPs of game 2. Like, people put King in as their MVP. I personally would disagree with that. I would have Zeka as their MVP. I think Zeka played well in every single game and was mega impactful in every single game. Kingen turned it on in games 4 and 5. But if you go back and look at game 2, where he's Silas ulting the Ashe and taking the arrows and correctly positioning them on the map to hit Carrier so he can't impact the team fights. It's just somehow this guy decided to become season 3 Faker, you know? So that was my thing for game 2. I think Beryl played really well on Heimerdinger. He was super good on Heimerdinger. I was like, this is a lot different guy that I was looking at last year who was just running it down on Nautilus and Rakan every single game, you know? Turns out he was like, you know what? I don't have Ghost as my ADC. I can kind of play better now. So, but before I continue more with how the series went, what did you think about the series in general? Or, well, because we haven't talked to you in like forever. Let's just start here. Let's start from play-in stage and get to the finals. What was your thoughts about the play-in stage for this year?
I mean, what played out differently than what we expected? Everything kind of, all the Eastern and Western teams kind of handled the wild cards, so it wasn't really exciting.
You thought Mad Lions were going to lose twice in the play-in stage?
I mean, them playing the Western, I honestly was not believing that NA was going to beat them, and then they ended up 3-0ing them, which was kind of surprising to me. But, I mean, I guess that's kind of what happens. The 4th seed usually doesn't come in clutch for the EU teams for some reason. I think the top 3 teams are usually pretty decent, but beyond that, they're pretty much kind of like, honestly, it's a top-heavy region, unlike NA, which is just a not heavy. It's a not heavy at all region. There's no good teams.
It's literally mostly maybe one solid okay
one
team.
Good team usually, and it's not good. They're okay.
it's good for LCS standards. That's what it really.
And the thing
boils
about
down
it
to.
is, usually in the second week of Worlds, I would say that I think that's usually when the NA teams start playing a little better. They don't seem to understand international ability, like just how they play until the second week. I mean, we watched Team Liquid from 2 years ago.
Like when they were facing off against was it Suning? They just somehow changed their whole playstyle up, but it was so late that it didn't matter.
This year,
because when G2 didn't win against Suning, they can't get a tiebreaker, but they had changed their playstyle up to match these teams that they were stylistically challenged against, which is crazy to think about at this point now. But yeah.
Is it? I mean, I think that's the thing about NA. NA usually, instead of doing something like EU does, which actually gets them some wins, because both NA and EU are pretty decently outclassed when it comes to just like individual players. NA obviously imports to make up the deficit, but for the most part, like the reason that EU actually does a little better in comparison to NA is because they have their own individual style and just besides NA, which is just kind of like a carbon copy of what Korea tries to do with their meta. They try and essentially stall out the game. They've always done that. It's all about meticulous picks inside of the draft phase and a specific comp instead of hard, aggressive early game stuff. It's always like there's never been an aggressive early game NA team. It's never existed. Like,
and the one that we had in Cloud9 didn't get a chance to go to MSI that year.
Last year was okay in terms of just Cloud9's aggressiveness, and that was only in spring split. Like, I don't think I don't think NA's ever had a truly hyper aggressive team.
The only aggressive team that's on that level was that 2016 TSM team.
They weren't aggressive though. They were slow play style, meticulous play, which really benefited in that meta. But this specific to this team we have specifically, these teams that we have in NA now, I feel like they try and it's a lot of copying from the other regions instead of doing something like individualism that EU does. EU is not close to the talent that the Eastern teams have, but what they make up for is the fact that they play their own play style and make the other Eastern teams adapt instead of playing a similar play style, which NA does, and having to essentially just outplay them. EU is hyper aggressive. The turret plating is what actually has shot them up in terms of just international ranking. With the ability to have turret plating, they've been able to snowball the game at a faster pace, which has made it more, harder for teams to come back from a deficit. It's unfortunate that's been the case, but the reintroduction of bounties and stuff like that has really brought back kind of a stall type game. Even though the games aren't as that slow, I'm not trying to say the games are slow, but the bounties have made it to the point where games don't spiral out of control once you lose those first two turret plates from the Rift Herald and like a kill or something. Like games can come back into control because there is some sort of way to cauterize the wound. I will say, like NA specifically, I don't know how we got off this from the wildcard stage. That kind of deviated a little bit, but NA inside of the wildcard stage played a little better than EU because I think that individually beyond the top 2 to 3 teams from EU, I think NA and EU are similar. And then I guess I did expect Mad Lions to win that series though. I thought they were playing a little better. So I was kind of surprised when it was
this might be an unpopular opinion. I think they probably had the better team. And to a certain extent, because you look at that Dragon X game they played, that was a really close game. The Dragon X game they played, where El Yoya played Belveth, he played very well. Now you could say, well, this was a Dragon X that was scaling with the event. Yeah, that's true, but they also played well into that team. You got to understand, you could have the worst team, but if you play well into that team, I think that deserves some credit.
I think giving them credit for almost beating Dragon X when Dragon X won the Worlds is not something I want to do because Dragon X straight up was a better team by the end of the tournament. Like if the Dragon X that had played at the end of the tournament had played Mad Lions, it probably would have been a stomp. But that's not something we can actually know for a fact. I have a problem with Mad Lions just didn't know what to do. Once they got it was all a mental game on their end. It feels like there's a lot of people who mentally implode once they start getting behind, and that's the reason I feel like they struggle so much in these.
For me, I think the thing was, it's so hard to say because people know I'm a huge fan of Niski. I really value what he does as a mid laner because I think people only really value like flashy plays when there's much more to League than that. Like, Zeka doesn't even really do flashy plays. People are trying. Zeka's what you would say a more upgraded version of Niski. Zeka doesn't really do any flashy plays.
Zeki was the most oppressive mid laner inside of
Worlds
this year.
Outside of lane, like
it wasn't
in
just
lane, I was watching him. He was not really like doing anything crazy. Aggressive. He was just aggressive. He wasn't doing anything like he's gonna dodge all these this. Like
that's just because they didn't like.
He's just smarter with how the map is.
No,
I think that's what really
Zeka is like an upgraded version of. I don't even know, really, comparison-wise. Like, Zeka was literally one of the most lane-dominant mid laners at the tournament this year. So it's kind of hard to say that he was similar to Niski because Niski is absolutely abysmal in lane. Like, there's similar play styles where they roam around the map, but Niski, the reason he can't function on an international stage is just because, in comparison to the other international mid laners, he almost plays like he's disabled. Like, there's just not... It sucks, but, I mean, he's just not that good. He has a very good understanding of the game, but he doesn't have the mechanical sense to be able to outplay these mid laners that are of the same skill.
I thought he had that when Mad Lions got him, because in fact, he was arguably a top 3 mid at the beginning of the LEC 2022 Summer Split. He was playing really well. I think the problem with him is like whatever he does as a mid laner, if you have someone that is just way better, that'll look so oppressive to him. It's like he is what you would call like a B tier kind of mid laner, right? But if you put him up against a A tier mid laner that does exactly what he does, except way better, then you're thinking to yourself, that's a huge disadvantage because what he really only offers you is roaming around the map and helping his team out with dives and effectively picking these roaming mages that can have an impact when you get around the map and like you have to interact with your team. If it's more or less just based around just laning phase, that doesn't really work very well for him. And I think that was Mad Lion's problem too. Also, the bot lane of Unforgiven and Kaiser, I don't really think I thought they were a good bot lane. The problem here is that they never popped off the same way Kaiser and Carzzy did. I thought Unforgiven was actually good. The problem here is like that's the thing what happens when you go to Worlds sometimes. People got to understand, it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. Worlds itself, the actual pressure of going to Worlds, you could be the best player in the world, you could still choke based off the pressure itself. Like the pressure becomes too much and you just don't play very well. That's why I think Kanavi was one of the most biggest disappointments of the Worlds from a few years ago. He just played really bad. Now, was that choking? To some extent, maybe. But you saw now he went to his second Worlds and he played a lot better. I think sometimes going to Worlds and getting over that pressure and going, okay, this is not as oppressive as everyone keeps saying, can have some sort of effect. What'd you think about the group stage itself? What's our Cloud9's group? What do you think about Cloud9's group?
Cloud9 was
EDG,
T1, Cloud9,
Fnatic.
T1, Fnatic. Oh, I can't even believe that I didn't remember that one. That was like the one they played like 6 straight times. It's been the same group. And I mean, I will say it was obvious that at the beginning of the first week, EU again, they had a hyper aggressive playstyle which forced the other Eastern teams to adapt. But then, it just became after the second week, it just kind of set in like the discrepancy between the Eastern and Western sides. I mean, I think Fnatic specifically, they have really good individual players, and that was what set them apart from Cloud9 in the first week. But again, hyper aggressive playstyle. You saw that like in the second week, the first game they played against SKT, they invaded inside of the bot side and lost like 4 dudes. It's just they were so convinced that they could not play SKT on a fair on a fair level that they started being too predictable in what they were trying to do.
They did that against EDG in week 1 too. Remember that they took Sivir and Thresh and they thought that they could actually go into their red side and actually.
Yeah, but that was 2. I'm talking about they went in with their whole team.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
the problem.
You're talking about the second game. I'm talking like, why would you try that again, knowing that wouldn't even work against EDG?
Because they sent more people that time. The reason that they actually thought it would work out this time is because they had a better comp for early game. But the problem being is the fact that they predict that it doesn't matter what you send. They're going to be waiting in a bush. They get the initial aggressive. Like, if you auto attack somebody 5 times, 5 individual champions auto attacking somebody level 1, they're going to die. And that's not including like auto attacks. They're not going to die instantaneously, but that's most of their health gone. Like, I think that was the big problem with Fnatic, is that they were too stuck on being hyper aggressive that they became too predictable. I mean, it was unfortunate. I thought it was something they could actually they could have actually made it out of groups if they weren't so high strung on being that specific play style. Because they could have definitely slowed down, like not slowed down, but they could have definitely not tried to force instantaneous like level 1 fights. That was goofy. They could have
always been Fnatic. Like I don't know what's it with them. Every roster I've ever seen of them always does that. I mean, it's happened ever since 2014 Worlds when we first started watching. They've always every roster they've did that. Ever since we've been watching them, they've always did that. Every single player does that. I don't know I don't know who. There's some formula they drink that makes them want to do that. I mean, that can get you an advantage. I mean, if you get
it's one of them games,
high risk, high reward. It's not really all it is.
It's high risk, high reward, but it's also massively it could massively implode your team.
It did.
I mean, it did. I mean, the game snowballed after that effect. I think,
but that's the risk you take because if you don't take risks like that, and you can't beat them
level 1
standard.
It doesn't have to be similar playing standard, but it can be off of just ganks or jungle rotations.
But they know they can't beat them standard, so they have to try that in order to get some advantage. They know they can't beat them standard because you don't try that thinking
level 1. There's no call where level 1 was the good call. That's
so they just tried that out just for a cheesy strategy.
It was a completely dumb, a doofus call. They had already attempted it once in the series, coming from the same exact what's it called? They're gonna check for it. It's only gonna work once. Like they're not gonna fall for it 2 times. And they still tried to push for it. They still tried to make it because again, their level 1 was better, and that's why they went for it. But they were waiting in a bush, and if you get the jump on them, you're gonna win almost every single individual team fight at level 1. Like it was dumb for this team to do. It was dumb for them. Shut up. It was dumb for like Fnatic to try and force themselves to get a level 1 advantage. They aren't that much worse individually skill wise than the Eastern teams. To the point where they have to force a level 1, they could have definitely went for ganks. That's how all the rest of the EU teams had succeeded. You're very blurry in your camera.
Yeah, I don't know why my camera went out of focus.
It's because you're sitting back a little bit. No, it's let it focus on your face. There you go.
Yeah, people want to see my pretty face, don't they?
Actually, let it go unfocused again real quick for me.
So, people need to understand, this is a good thing about this Fnatic roster is that Fnatic roster and JDG and what was it, DRX? Because T1 only lost 4 times at Worlds.
4 times.
They lost to Fnatic once, they lost to JDG once, and they lost to DRX. What? They lost them 3 times, right? So they lost to what? 3? Lost 5 games total, right? T1 lost 5 games total, and one of them came from Fnatic. The only Western team to take a game off them. But to be fair, they only faced Asian teams. But it's one of these things where this roster has always had that kind of issue. They weren't really bad. It was just more like, what's the word? There's a word for it. Team cohesion wasn't there. Humanoid always died to level 3 ganks. Razork always had to cover for him, so Razork can't put resources into the bot lane or top lane. Wonder pretty much came back to form. Not his peak Wonder form, but he was a solid top lane enough to he wasn't feeding like he was at the beginning of the year. Upset and Hylissang. Now, I said last year that Upset and Hylissang were a good bot lane. This year, I still think they were, but they were on different playstyles. Hylissang has always been this player where one split, he's like really good. And then one split, he's just running it down. Yet you can't have that. You just can't have that as a top org. That creates too much parity. That creates too much inconsistency. And when he's off, he's really off, but he's on. It's like, well, why can't you just get a guy that's always on, but is consistent when he's not on? You know, they need a support like that. Because the problem with Hylissang was he would literally go for plays that he couldn't win ever, all the time, consistently.
I do want to say similar play styles to Hylissang would be Tien and and another one would be Hylissang, Tien, and stupid
Keria?
No, Keria is literally just a monster all year.
Well, I think Keria is what Hylissang is, but a smarter player.
No,
like he's not just because Hylissang just takes aggressive traits, even when
comparing
you're not get
inconsistencies.
Oh, inconsistencies.
Tien and stupid top laner for.
I was gonna say Knight. Really? No,
not Knight.
Knight
top laner from stupid Invictus Gaming. My brain's not working.
The one they have. Oh, the Shy.
The Shy. Thank you. Those two specifically. Well, I was talking about the most popular version of him, the one that was actually good.
Oh, yeah, because he came back to form this year. His team just sucks.
So the big thing is the two people that I would say have a similar play style is these people, essentially, when they're on form, will literally win you worlds almost solo. Like, they have the ability to be able to do that. Hylissang is similar in that aspect, in that the fact that when he is on form, he's able to make it to the to make you succeed at an international stage, which you can't really do unless you have somebody of his caliber playing to that extent. The problem is when he's not playing to that extent, he is literally a silver player, and that is the problem.
He also can't play enchanters. He stink.
Anybody can play enchanters.
Not him.
He can.
He plays enchanters like he plays Nautilus, which is bad.
Well, I mean everybody can play enchanters. He really the problem is when he's not functionally brain dead, he actually is like an international caliber support, which you're not going to get almost anyway.
Only playing engaged supports.
Who cares?
It's only that way.
There's no way to ban out engaged supports. There's about 1 billion of them.
Well, the thing here is, if it's on a Thresh, Nautilus, Rakan, Alistar, Leona meta, he's essentially just a bot. He just runs it down. And I understand why Fnatic would get rid of him. Unless you're playing maybe those 5 champions in that specific meta, he just runs it down.
So I will say,
and
it's
the only
not
enchanter
a
he can
bad
play well
idea.
is Thresh. I'll say Thresh he can play.
Enchanter, Thresh is no.
Thresh count as an enchanter?
He does not. He has a shield on his W at the most.
But his ult is magic damage, right?
Enchanters do not mean magic damage. Enchanters mean you buff somebody else.
In layman's terms, you call someone an enchanter in real life.
Brand is not an enchanter. Brand is only magic damage, but he's an assassin almost.
Well, Pyke is considered a support, but Pyke is an assassin.
Yeah, but he's not an enchanter. He also doesn't do magic damage.
Oh wait, Hylissang plays Pyke very well. He can play Pyke very well.
So the thing is, you can't always ban out supports that are engagers. It's impossible to do. The only thing you can really say is the only meta he's never going to succeed in is is enchanter metas. He's not bad at Yuumi because it's impossible to be bad at Yuumi. So that doesn't matter. It's not possible to be bad at Yuumi. Like it's just the only thing you could do is not use your ult in the right direction. And if you did that, you're just not good at League in general. Like Yuumi is not a champion that should exist in the game. I will say that. I think she is a functionally just horribly designed champion that does not actually make sense inside of today's game, where she don't actually play you heal somebody, you can your Q doesn't even work unless you're attached to somebody, really. You can't even move it. Your ult, literally, you just push it in a direction and it's a huge cone. So if you miss somebody, that just means you were aiming in the opposite direction. It's going to hit almost your entire front of the screen. But the problem with Hylissang is the fact that with getting rid of Hylissang, I'm going to say it was a good idea. Your eyes are terrifying in that. Oh my God. Yeah. It's the problem. Your thing froze and your eyes are just dead. They look like a fisheye. The problem with Hylissang, and the problem getting rid of Hylissang is, I agree, he is a detriment to the team. He's playing play, but without a world-class support in an aggressive meta, they're not going to make it past group stages. It's not going to happen. They don't have the capabilities, and the reason they've been able to succeed, EU as a whole, has been because of some sort of world-class player or hyperactive support inside of the support role. I mean, when was the last time support wasn't arguably the most impactful role inside of EU's team? When was the? I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. EU. Where are you going? You turned off your camera and your mic. EU as a whole has relied. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
No. Because you said when was support not the most impactful? I think it's
for EU specifically.
I don't.
So
know.
Mickey X unarguably was the best player in 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Mickey X, we got Hylissang. Every time Hylissang played well, they went to
Kaiser was a big impact for Mad
Kaiser was the best player in EU for 2 straight years.
Even just this year, Trimby, compared to last year, looks a whole lot different. Yeah. And a whole lot better, too.
EU,
to be fair, based off Rogue, I think that was Malrun that did a lot of that work, but that's just me. But
the reason EU succeeds is because they're hyper aggressive. They're able to take turret plates and they're able to roam around the map efficiently as a team. But it's not really as a team. It's a jungle support kind of synergy. You won't see jungle mid succeed inside of EU. It doesn't work. They're not good at it. There's no team.
That was also the reason why Rogue got exposed by JDG. Their mid jungle synergy is just really bad.
They're just not good at it. They need teams that succeed.
Because Malrong's playstyle is directly not what Larson is, but Malrong is so good of a player that he can effectively work with what the other players need and have Larson just do whatever he can. So they don't have good synergy, but if Malron can get top lane ahead, if Malron can get objectives, if Malron can get bot lane ahead with his aggressive, faster paced jungle style, that's actually pretty good. Because Larson's not a bad laner. He's actually a pretty good player overall for EU standards, right? But the problem here is that when you face a team with good mid-jungle synergy, if they know that you don't have a good mid-jungle duo, they're just going to just gank mid repeatedly.
So I will say,
he's not coming there.
It's not about ganking mid. The thing about jungle synergy is that top side of the map is exposed when you don't have good jungle side mid synergy. Because bottom side of the map...
Because the waves crash, right? And then...
Well, no. The reason is because top lane has one of the least flexible abilities to be able to roam around the map inside of the entire map. Bot lane has support because they don't really have to be in lane. They can actually make it all around the map, but specifically in the bot side of the map, they can affect the map massively. If you don't have good top mid jungle synergy, they can effectively just roam through your top side, because if your mid laner is getting pushed inside of the mid lane, or if they're just if they're getting mid lane's getting shoved, you lose your entire top side. It doesn't matter what top lane is doing. Like, it doesn't matter what the top lane is doing for the most part, but because
that's why you saw teams picking Maokai top Orin. That
but the thing
kind of neutralize that kind of thing.
The thing is, top lane, it has a minimal impact in terms of just top side invading. Like it is an effect, and you'll see some situations where if you gank bot lane, their top laner shoves in, you can't invade. There are situations where that does happen. It doesn't happen on red side as often as blue side, obviously, because there's just a way better system for getting out of blue side. I mean, red side than blue side. So, like, if you are red side, mid lane priority matters a ton. If you're blue side, top lane matters a little more than it would on red side. I'm like, the problem with invading junglers and the problem with mid synergy inside of EU, and the reason why it does not work, is not only are they not able to effectively shove into Eastern mid laners, that's the reason why they can't dominate the mid lane, so they can't actually effectively shove and roam around the jungle.
The only time I really saw a good mid-jungle duo that really did it very well was Perks and Yankos, when they were like...
That is the best version. I mean, G2, those seasons of G2 are the best Western teams of all time.
Because even Caps and Broxta never played that well together. Like, it's like an actual duo, you're thinking. The only one that I've ever seen do very well was just Perks and
Yankos is unarguably the best Western jungler of all time.
You know what G2 decided? We're going to kick this guy out.
I mean, that's what I'm wondering is, what is their plan now? Because that is
well, it's one of two things. Either Caps doesn't want to play with Yankos, or they want to shake up their team's play style. Because Yankos, at a certain point, only can offer you various play styles.
Yeah, but the problem is that's the only play style that works for you. Like, eventually they're going to find another version of playstyle.
Maybe
that
Caps
work.
wants another jungler that can work.
But
because Caps and Yankos, their synergy is fine, but it's nothing like great.
I just want to say, what Western team has ever been able to stall out a game and win?
You'd give me a year in a series and context.
And I'm just asking, has it ever happened? I'm not saying in a specific series. I'm saying a team that is specifically slow-paced.
Choking a team out?
No, listen. A team that is designed to play the late game, slow-paced gaming. What Western team has ever been able to do that?
To play good late game.
What team? Just every single Western team that has ever succeeded either got lucky, which was Cloud9 every time they got out of groups, or Cloud9 literally just had the easiest groups. That's why they made it out. They are literally one of the luckiest Western
That's
teams
exactly
of all time.
why all that stuff happened. It was not because of gameplay, but just because of luck.
Cloud9 has never been as good as their...
You know, right?
I know you are. I understand that you don't.
Is that what doesn't make logical sense?
It does. I mean, it does.
It doesn't. Luck
Cloud9
does not translate to gameplay.
I didn't say it did. I'm just saying they've gotten a pretty solid draw the stakes when it came to...
The only team that I would have an example was just the G2 Super Team.
They never played late game.
Against certain teams, they actually did. Or
they
got
had
to
a
late
game.
Decent
So
mid game.
What I'm saying
out
is
of that.
They didn't stall for late game. That's not what the G2 team did. They were hyper aggressive, and all of them did. All of them were
back in
aggressive.
the meta where you had so many flexible picks where those type of weaknesses that you have are covered by the champions of the meta at the time. Because a lot of teams that succeed, people don't understand, a lot of teams that succeed only succeed because of the meta at the time. Because guys watching this right now, I'm not sounding like a hater. I'm not. but DRX's roster is going to get discombobulated because all their contracts are running up because even the coaches at themselves knew they weren't keeping these players because they didn't have faith in them. Now, years later on, time I point back to something else too. A lot of the teams that have done well over the years have done well because the meta favors them. They just do because that's like the Juggernaut meta with Marin. I mean, Marin was pretty good, all things considered.
Marin was way good before the Juggernaut meta.
He was good, for just like he was just good in general, right?
Marin was,
but then when it came to Juggernauts, it was just like there's a massive difference here.
Well, I mean, his best ones were obviously Bruisers, but like the big thing about Marin is Marin was arguably a top 3 top laner inside of Korea for the entire year. The only ones that were better than him were Someday and Duke for most of the year.
Oh, and Smeb turned it on as the year went on.
Smeb was not there. Not that season.
Smeb turned it on as the year went on.
That he was good the next season.
No, I thought he was good. I thought he was good.
He was
in
not
summer.
Good season 5.
He was good. He was good in summer.
Smeb was not a competitive player in season
summer
5.
season.
I'm telling you, he just wasn't top 3 in season 5.
I thought he was playing very well in summer, and at Worlds, I think he played fine. I think he played great at Worlds, honestly.
No, season 6 was Smeb's season. Smeb was like unarguably the best top laner in the world then.
So that like FPX, when mids like Nautilus and Karma weren't something that FPX could thoroughly abuse in the mid lane, they didn't really do anything. And that's crazy too. EDG last year, a Scout was able to play effectively mid laners that could go toe-to-toe with Showmaker. I'm not saying Scout couldn't beat Showmaker on his own. Scout is actually very good. But the thing here is certain mid laners with certain patches makes players different players.
That's
so
the very basics of League.
So like Yankos, right? Yankos looks very different when he's playing carry junglers. Yankos looks pretty kind of average.
What is your point you're trying to make here, Doofus?
Well, because this year when we saw like the rise of carry champions come back, remember how Canyon had that really good Graves game result? People were like, man, that guy's actually pretty good. What happened to him? He's been playing fine. It's just that the meta in spring was Sejuani and fucking Olaf. I mean, you're gonna look a lot different on tank champions versus pure carry champions. This is kind of how it works, But with the DRX T1 series, I think it's one of the things to mention too with the actual players themselves. So the T1 players themselves, I think Zeus didn't have that good of a series. I thought he was good in game 1, but the rest of the series, I didn't really feel like he played well because that Fiora game, that Fiora game he had against Kingen was really bad.
Zeus was horrible in that end of the season.
I think he had one. He was actually, to me, he was playing good up until the finals. The finals game 1, he played fine. And then games 2, 3, 4, and 5, he just kind of just sucked. Because in that game 2, when they picked Fiora, he looked completely shit. People were like, but Kingen, no. He looked really bad. Literally, if you watch the game again, guys, Aatrox is destroying him. Like, I would say that's choking. But Faker, to me, didn't have the best series overall. He kind of turned it on when he needed to win some of the games. But to me, that really wasn't the Faker that I expected going to the event. Like, Faker got Akali.
His Akali was bad. His Akali was ineffective.
That's the thing I was trying to tell you and Jimmy last week was if T1 have a Viego that's 2 kills ahead and a Varus and a Karma bot lane that's that ahead, because T1 would do this in the LCK, they would go down. We watched the games all year.
The problem,
go down the bot lane and they would dive them consistently and push their advantage.
The problem being with that specific comp that they had is the fact that with no actual engage,
you just have a Bard. That's it.
What?
All DRX had was a Bard. Well,
right? What I'm saying is the comp they had, there was no front line, there was no hard engage. All they had was a bunch of bruisers that were going to their entire thing was either engage onto them with a Varus and the move speed from Karma, or disengage with Varus ult and Karma move speed. There's no arguing that was their comp because that's all they could do.
I'm just saying that knowing how we've seen them play, not forcing anything in the bot lane when they were winning bot lane the entirety of the game, it's just a massive mistake. That's not even choking. That's just playing your composition.
The reason T1 did not gank bot lane, I brought this up a bunch, is because they had a winning matchup in bot lane. The counter matchup
could have pushed further though.
No. If you gank, there's a possibility. In a specific lane,
not even just ganks. Threaten that he's there. Just threatening his presence there. They didn't even do that.
They didn't know where he was at, so he technically was threatening the whole time. If he doesn't have to be there, If they don't have vision of you, you're threatening them. The thing is, Caitlyn inside of a tower is kind of a monster. You don't actually want to try and force.
He didn't really get his first item until like what 20 minutes.
It doesn't matter. The traps themselves are enough, and she can stall long enough with her movement abilities.
The Karma Qs could definitely chunk her out.
You're not gonna hit Karma Q with on Kate. It's just not gonna happen.
But they had a Viego and a Varus and a Karma who were massively far ahead at that point in the game. I think even if you can't dive, you threaten constantly.
They did threaten. They literally, by not showing, you're threatening the dive. The problem is,
so you're saying not doing anything is better than doing anything at all?
They tried to gank mid, which was the most optimal play. They gave a counter matchup to top lane. They counterpicked the bot lane, and then they ganked the one lane that wasn't on paper going to win for them.
Well, DRX ganked first, and then Owner turned it around. Remember?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter regardless. He should not have played that poorly. He should not have
Faker,
played.
Right?
No, I'm not talking about Faker. I'm specifically talking about Zeus.
Oh,
Zeus playing that poorly threw the entire team comp off.
Yeah, because I think someone had asked us on my other stream where, well, what's the big deal with the counter matchup? Okay, so anyone who doesn't really understand this though, counters could be big or small depending on how you look at it though. I love playing top lane, but I've not played that much.
Why do I keep saying Zeus?
I played Gwen. I like actually playing Gwen myself. I like playing Aatrox. I've not played that much Gwen into Aatrox. Now, if Gwen's supposed to be a counter to Aatrox, well, you factor in, okay, you're picking a counter to get an advantage in your lane. Now, if your advantage is out dueling, out trading, out CSing, all that stuff, because your champion is just inherently better than your opposition. But if your opposition starts solo killing you, you lost your advantage. A counter is only going to be a counter as best as a player can play it. So there's some counter matchups that are very big. There's some counter matchups that are just very small, like LeBlanc versus Morgana. Morgana should be, in theory, a pretty big counter because of the spell shield and her Q. Well, at a certain point in the game, it doesn't really matter if LeBlanc is just Qing you, just chunking you. Not really big of a counter. You can only spell shield one ability. So people who are new to the game,
hers is a flat amount that she resists.
Right. I think
so Morgana straight up. If you lose LeBlanc to Morgana, you need to quit League forever. If you manage to lose that matchup.
If anyone, as I mentioned, if you have a counter, the counter is only going to extend as much as you're able to push it. Gwen versus Aatrox, to me, is not the big of a counter I think they thought.
It's a big counter. I mean, the thing is, obviously, with her zone that she creates gives her a lot of resistances and gives her lifesteal. She has the ability to dodge a lot of his abilities with her abilities. She should have won that matchup, or at least made it competitive. She got dumpstered in a matchup that's really not favorable for Aatrox. Like it's on Zeus. I mean,
once he got the first solo kill, whatever advantage in theory they thought they were actually going to have is just over.
Well, yeah. The problem being is him losing specifically snowballed the entire series away from what it originally was planned to be. They had a plan for the series based off their comp. It completely spiraled out of control because of the fact that the Zeus lost his lane. There's nothing they could do after that.
Because I understand why they gave him a counter matchup in Game 5. Because in Game 4, he lost really bad. In Game 4, he lost like really bad.
He had a counter matchup there.
Okay.
Like, he was literally...
No, but they counter Fiora with Maokai.
Maokai does not counter Fiora.
If you're diving, if you're diving, she's only going to parry one ability.
She's going to parry the entire thing so you can't Q her. And then she can dash away.
When he was laning against him, he forced him to parry first, and then he called him up, and then you would Maokai W in.
You can't do anything. Like the way Fiora's parry
also remembering it differently.
If when you W on the Fiora, she literally cannot miss her stun. Her what's it called? Her parry?
Yeah.
Unless you flash away. So she W's it. She's either stuns you, or maybe she misses it. Even if she misses it,
it's a 12-second cooldown.
You can't use but you can't use Q. So you can't use Q until after it comes off. Right when the parry goes down after using it, you dash away and he can't Q you. There's nothing that Maokai should be able to do to Fiora. It's just too in favor of Fiora there.
No, what I'm saying is they picked two champions that if you neutralize Fiora in the top lane,
you can't neutralize Fiora with Maokai. It's impossible.
That's what they made it look like. I mean,
like it's a straight up favorable matchup for Fiora by a large margin. The only thing is they ganked top lane because it obviously was the weakest part of Cloud9. Look at this. Look at this nonsense. Here. No, this was fine.
right here, before this even happened, if you guys look closely, if you're watching this on the replay, Kingin is 5. He is 5. Okay. And I watched this earlier today. I worked and I was like, what happened with this 1v1 that was so wrong? Kingin already hits level 6. And he trades straight into him. And the wave is in Zeus's favor.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, this part doesn't matter because it's a really relatively equal trade. That's not the problem. The problem is the next play, you actually see him dash in. He initiates the next engage. Right here. Right here.
Yeah, that's bad. That's legitimately bad.
It would have been fine. He engaged onto him. Got hit by 2 abilities, and that's actually what got him killed. It was idiotic. It wasn't idiotic. I think he thought he could win. And he definitely should not lose confidence in himself, or he's not going to be able to play well. But
it's always with these like theoretical counters, in quotations, theoretical counters. Most of the time, these counters never really work out in pro play because the player's not dumb enough to fall for that stuff.
Well, it's not. Counters specifically means that you should be able to get a CS advantage. That is the whole point of a counter matchup inside a pro play. It's not to kill them.
Also, for playing Viego and Gwen, that's why I say
Viego
owner played bad. If you didn't focus diving bot, which I think they should have did, because I think they definitely had the chance to snowball bot lane so hard that they could have won the
snowball
game.
Ganking bot would be dumb. I promise. How much? It doesn't matter. They're getting zoned off CS. There's nothing to. They're already winning. They need to try and, instead of getting one lane ahead, bot lane does not win this for them because of the fact, and the reason bot lane doesn't win this game for them is because they have no actual forms of a front line.
That's what it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Him putting his priority in
it should have been mid or top. What I'm saying is, if they gank bot in a game where there's no front line, ADC doesn't matter because of the fact that they have no way to self-peel. The only self-peel he has is his ult.
Well, what I'm bringing up is him not pushing any of his Viego advantage is what's lost the team comp the advantage he even had.
Well, I mean, there's
Viego with like 3 kills, I think, early on when he got those 2 on Hecarim and Azir. He's not really ganking for Faker either.
Well,
so what is he really doing? That's why I said owner played. I think owner played good in the series, but I think in this game, I think he fumbled the bag so hard with the
I don't think this game at all was his fault.
Like, why is he not threatening Rift Herald? He's the one with the advantage, and
he went to go gank bot and they recalled.
That's the thing.
He miscalled. They preemptively saw that he might go top.
He was behind on tempo like the whole time. He should not be behind on tempo here because he's the one who's ahead. Like that's just me. I mean, that's how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm confused as to what you wanted him to do.
He misplaced his priority in either lane. You can't be a Viego that this decently ahead, and he's really impacting nothing though.
First of all, Viego's ability to gank is pretty low. He doesn't have a very good ganking ability.
But he is a good duelist if you're having skirmishes.
Okay. What do you want him to skirmish?
His team and Team 1's playstyle is always based around
skirmishes. You can't skirmish top lane. They're not going to let you.
They can't skirmish if they can have their. They can tell Gumusi, don't use your TP. You can TP right up here when we're taking Rift Herald. I think I'm not saying they played so bad this game. I'm saying that they misplayed or misread a lot of the advantages they actually had. Because they have a lot of advantages in this moment in the game. They just never really utilize them.
They're behind right now in this specific
Zeus is behind.
We're watching. Zeus, this is in the entire comp. Without Zeus being even relatively close, they're like...
Because bot lane has a 30 CS advantage by 10 minutes. I remember that.
Yes, that's what's going to happen. I mean, the big thing is the bot lane specifically. Varus is insanely good into Caitlyn because of the fact of similar range and his abilities outrange hers.
Right, like even right here, no threatening here. Like they're the ones who are ahead, but they're the ones backing off. Like that's bad.
What do you mean that they?
Why would they give up Dragon when they're the ones who are ahead?
Caitlyn what you're not understanding is Aatrox was already on the way bot, so it's already.
Oh, that I didn't see. My bad. That I didn't see.
Yeah, Aatrox was already on the way bot, and the fact is they have.
So you don't think they can win that then?
No, that's a 5v4.
But the Vars could easily chunk one of them out.
You just want them to be able to win a 5v4, and the reality is
that's all their comp does, though. But if their comp gets ahead early on, they can skirmish very well and out-trade them.
The thing you're not understanding is they weren't ahead because of the 1v1s that they lost inside a bot. Our Aatrox was literally able to shove in waves and just rotate around the map. They literally, honestly, even at that point in time, they had no legitimate frontline threat. So because whoever's going up is getting
top
killed.
Lane. Yeah.
Well, it's not even just that. Zeus is just not tanky.
You don't think that... Well, Victor has Gravity Field. He can't really engage into with Gravity Field up.
Who can?
Like he's like
Hecarim
Aatrox
can.
is gonna. But that's all frontline though. If Faker places one good gravity field, Aatrox and
You can't stop.
running.
You could
Wouldn't it stop them both?
No,
Wouldn't it?
the Hecarim can literally just walk around it in time because of the fact he's so fast, or he can ult through it.
Which was the part where he stole the... Yeah, also during the series, guys, people... Oh, well, Gumayusi was stealing a lot of Barons. That was just his thing. He was just stealing Barons. This was the fight... No, this wasn't the fight, right? There was the fight where they obviously flanked T1, and this was, like, obviously before the actual Baron fight. So this was actually a good fight, though, from their point of view. This is what T1, I think, wanted to do against them. Actually engage onto them and get first priority in
the
team
reason
fight.
Faker built Lichbane specifically is so he could deal with the
that was
the
so
Aatrox.
bad.
The Aatrox, unless you have hyper burst on him early on, he's going to be able to survive. Like technically he could have built stupid some form of what's it called?
Because I know people brought up the fact that Barrel was missing a lot of stuff, but just in this moment, instantly, for anyone who's like new to the game, it doesn't really matter what you're missing because people only look at the misses. You have to look at what you're getting out of the summoner spell. So if I use my Bard ult against you and you blow your flash, I'm gonna have my ult faster than you have your flash. And in this moment right here, that you're gonna see, Barrel is, as you should, threatening two people. He misses the Q, it's fine. Faker tries to kill him with that. He uses ult right there. He baits out what? Gumayusi's ult?
I mean, technically, that was just Gumayusi missing. Gumayusi was not going to be in range.
But he wanted to get Bard to get the easy pickup, so it's a 5v4.
Bard didn't play poorly. I think people over-exaggerated. Bard had... that fight specifically was one off of Bard's stun right there.
Mm-hmm. That one was actually really good.
Yeah, Bard got a stun right there. I mean, there's a ton of things that happened. Cloud9 pushing up and them getting able to be... They found a path through that was unwarded, which was unfortunate for them. There's no wards inside of the top side. That they covered 2 angles, but not 3. And they came through. You see right there, they had Rafter Pit warded at one point. They had the one in the river, and he came through the tri-bush over to the bush right on the other side of red, and that gave him a free path into mid without getting seen by their wards, which they had a few plays. It was just unfortunate on their end. I don't even think DRX accounted for that. They just got lucky
this
where they
was
walked.
just bad. Now this is the thing. I know they won worlds. I don't mean to rag on them, but I will say this: Piosik losing this many Barons was ridiculous. Like throughout the whole series, that was just ridiculous. First of all, you should never lose Baron in a scenario ever. That's ridiculous.
Like go back. How much was it? Let me see how much you stole it at. Actually, I needed to watch past. Let me see how much you did.
I'm pretty sure it was about 200 damage, right? I'm pretty sure. No, it can't be more than 200.
It was way more than 200.
Piosik has a smite, guys. Piosik has a smite.
Let's see how much damage he stole it at. So it was isolation, which means it does more damage.
801.
801. He should have got that.
Yeah, you smite. Piosik has a smite up, guys.
Piosik missed the smite.
And also, this is the problem here. Why is Aatrox not body blocking this? Aatrox is not body blocking this. King is right here.
Blocking
that
goes through people.
Are you sure?
Yes, Varus Q goes through people. That's the whole point of it.
Tank it?
How would he tank it?
Wasn't he building? Oh no, forgot.
No, listen to me. It's Varus Q goes through people. The only thing that would happen was
it goes through you if you have more health as a tank.
It does not get stopped until the distance goes, unless there's a wind wall. The only thing that Varus Q blocking it would do was reduce the damage it does.
You don't think Zeka could have threatened putting soldiers ulting?
What would he do? He just outranged all of that. The only thing they could have done, the possibility is, what?
No way. Well, it depends where Zeka is. Okay, so
he
Zeka's
outranges
right
Varus by a large margin with this Q.
Zeka does, right?
No. Varus outranges Azir by a large margin.
I think they mispositioned the people here. Zeka should be right here because he can auto from a distance. And
Zeka dies if he walks up like that, though. The reason they're in the pit like that is
5 against 2 people, though. Come on.
I'm not sure why you want the Zeka to zone.
I mean, he probably still would have stolen it, but it's the fact that they didn't even challenge him. They just kind of just let him do it. I was like,
so the possibilities are they smite properly. I mean, it wasn't even like a relatively hard smite. it went down to like 800 before he stole it. So they just missed the smite. The big problem with this team is first, like I had a problem with like what you were talking about blocking. It could have happened. Blocking reduces the damage it does to secondary targets. That's the only thing you could say with Varus Q. Is that could have been what they could have done it for. But like again, I still think it might have taken.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just like none of them challenged Varus when he.
I agree with Aatrox could have challenged Varus. I don't think Azir
range. Azir's longer range. If
Azir can't
him, W's him. I mean, you get the
Azir is outranged by Varus, and on top of the fact they did all of this in darkness. They did all of this out of vision.
Yeah,
they didn't know they were walking up.
Yeah.
And
what was the other play? This was the one where he got him.
They didn't even know they were walking up.
That was good. I remember there was in game 4. No, game 3. One of them. Kyria was playing Lux, and he figured out where Piosik was in Fog of War. That was actually really good.
So yeah, the big thing is they don't know where Varus is. Technically, they don't actually know where he's standing. He could have been coming from their base for all they knew.
This was the play, right? This is where Aatrox comes from. Yeah, see right here, they kept all throughout the series, they kept getting flanked all the time. They were getting flanked consistently, not just in this game. They were getting flanked in the other games. They lost a lot too.
No, this one. Yeah, I remember this one. This is Kyria just walking blindly into a bush.
Yeah,
Kyria actually kind of just threw right there for no reason.
Yeah, like I generally think I'm not saying the series wasn't good at all. It's just also that was a great Bardol. He landed that perfectly. Now, this was a fight that you even think is even in T1's favor, because right here, they're kind of mispositioned. Why can't T1 kind of get more off that? I mean, they did run away as soon as they knew they couldn't win. But Deft really wasn't playing that well in the game. Like, that's why I said earlier, if they had put their focus in bot lane, maybe something happens a bit differently, because Deft really didn't do anything. He just played Farm Simulator the whole game. He just farmed the whole game. He got one kill.
The thing
30 minutes
I will say,
40 minutes in. My bad.
Caitlyn specifically is literally the worst mid-game champ in the game. Arguably. Like, there's an argument to be made. She, once mid-game comes around, is completely worthless because she doesn't have the damage to output. Her range is kind of negated by...
negligent.
No, negated would also be a word. Her is negated not a word there?
You speak words?
I do speak words. Like her impact is negated by the fact, or in terms of just range, by the fact that a lot of people's movement abilities are a lot more effective inside of mid game instead of early game. So she doesn't come back on until she gets 3 to 4 items. That's why she's farming fast for a IE power spike. You can see him rushing to try and get that going.
Like, this was he should just not be here. That's just bad gameplay.
On a technical standpoint, Zeus probably could have won this in a 1v1 situation, but I don't know why.
Topside priority though.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The fact that he's there is goofy. I think he could have won if it was a 1v1, and that's the only argument I could make for him being up there. But it's just dumb for him to be there in general. There's no vision of anybody. Everybody out of vision.
This was also great. Piosik actually played well, despite him losing Barons the whole fucking series. He actually did very well with his flanks. All of his flanks were great. Yeah, this was the one where they killed the Karma, and yeah, this was their Baron. See, that's when Caitlyn does some pretty disgusting damage. When he would hit Faker with that would chunk half his health. But he's literally he got his first kill at 33 minutes in. Like, he wasn't really doing anything. He was just farming.
So what do you again? That was the whole point of what they did. They counteracted his play.
It was all just scaling. That's what they want to do.
They forced him into scaling. Yes. Once your early game is gone as Caitlyn, you're almost completely worthless. Like that just destroys your ability to be useful.
And then they traded Baron for Elder Soul, right? Because they were on the Soul point. So they let T1 get Baron again. Because if everyone doesn't know, this kind of comp can easily wave clear. It's Caitlyn and Azir. That's like some of the best wave clear you can ask for late game. And where's the last team fight? The last team fight was about right here. Yeah, Piosik died there. No, he didn't die there. I think Kingen died earlier, which was kind of weird. Let's see about right there. Okay. Yeah, they got the 3 pick. Yeah, it was the last team. But yeah, they tried to go into the base. They tried to go into the base.
They started too late. There's no way they were going to win. It made no sense to me because
it was a desperation play at that point.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was. Them losing this was literally the loss of the game, though. If they got this Smite fight, they would have won the game.
They thought.
Oh wait, I didn't even see him die the first time I watched this. That's
yeah. Owner actually dies trying to steal it. I mean, he had stolen things throughout the series, so it's not improbable they would try to think that. Because, yeah, they try to backdoor and then they die. Yeah, that's essentially a game at that point. There's nothing else you do. Death times are too long. But yeah, guys, DRX are your 2022 League of Legends World Champions. That was one of the. If that's not the best underdog story ever, I don't really know what is. I mean, there's the TL one, there's the G2 one, 2018.
I feel like
there's other ones there, but that one
that was the best one.
That has to be the best one.
It was the problem. The only reason I can't say it is because there was no teams I was cheering for that. I kind of cheered for both of the teams, but the only time I'm going to cheer like kind of spastically is when NA gets there, which is going to happen in 20 years.
You're actually going to maybe have sex by that time.
Shut up.
God, I just wish you were kind of fun, but it just doesn't happen.
I don't want to. I'm tired of talking about sex with you.
God damn. It's like he'd be like, yeah, bro, good job. But he's like, I want to be cool and have no fun. But yeah, that's
making me sound like Eeyore.
But it's one of these things where, guys, all the DRX contracts are up. Deft was mentioned that he was going to retire
at the beginning of the year. I think this might have dissuaded him from doing it.
Finally won Worlds. The thing is that now people have said, will Zeka keep this form? I mean, even the Shy didn't keep his 2018 form, so no.
Yeah, but the Shy was good all year.
He was good for 2019 too. Like he was good.
I'm just saying, the Shy at the beginning of 2018 was the best top player in the.
Yeah, if someone's saying, will he keep this form all next year? It really depends. I mean, I'll say this though. At some point, he won't have this form, but as of right now, he does, and that's definitely really, really good. Now, I would say personally, just kind of stay in the LCK because we can't go on DRX. People said, where would he go though? I mean, Genji's not getting rid of Chovy. T1's not going to get rid of Faker, especially after this year. I mean, Damwon's not losing Showmaker, so those three teams are off for them. I really don't know where he would go though. Maybe they just rebuild around him. But the contracts are up, so they're going to try and go elsewhere. Someone said he might return back to the LPL. He would go back to the same region that threw him away. I mean, I guess if the money's good enough, but this time he might be on RNG. Well, they can't even afford to pay their players. So, Well, I really don't know where he could go. Barrel maybe goes back to Damwon.
Why did they have to leave? Tell me why they need to leave.
DRX, the contracts are up.
That doesn't mean they have to leave. They can re-sign them.
Yeah, they're gonna ask for a lot more money, and that's the thing. Maybe they give it to them.
There's no.
Maybe the players want to test being free agents. Actually,
there's no reason they can't come back. There's no salary cap.
I'm not saying they can't, but
the only region that would make a difference in is China because they have a salary cap. So once players' values come up, you can't afford to keep them all. The thing is, inside of Korea, they actually generate a lot of worth as long as they're inside their own. As long as they're making. What's it called? As long as they're generating publicity, there's no reason they couldn't afford these players anymore. There's no salary cap. There's no.
You can tell they had no faith in them because
but they do now. They just want.
Oh, that is.
Yeah, listen. If I was like Joseph, you can't beat Mike Tyson in a fight, and then I come back and you have him sprawled out on the ground, I would change my mind.
So basically, you want the coaching staff to crawl on their knees to these players and go, please stay, even though
I would beg on my hands and knees.
Piosik, even though we really didn't have any faith in you and you were kind of a really bad jungler most of the year, please stay. I know you want us worlds, but please stay.
One word. Look, there's absolutely no reason. At the very least, you don't get Piosik another chance, and then if he doesn't succeed, you get a secondary and let him play as the backup.
The thing is that I know they're going to try to get the players back, but the problem here is the players know their worth now. They're going to test out the free market and see where they can get better offers from.
Where is the market for Piosik?
People overvalue situations of winning, right? Where people think, oh, well, he won Worlds in this way. Maybe he can do it for me. It's like, that's how that works. I actually can't
think of a situation where a bad player from Worlds has done what. Like, Sword Art was good. and he got a lot of money, but that's because he was a good player and he was the most impactful at Worlds.
But that was based off a premise, though.
Piosik missed 6 smites in finals to non-junglers.
Maybe Piosik stays. Okay. But the thing here is TSM thought they were getting Sword Art from Worlds finals. That's what they thought they were getting. But
from Worlds at all, honestly, he was just a monster.
But the thing here is TSM didn't factor in, because this is human nature. Human nature goes, wait a minute, he played really well in that finals, so that means he'll just do it again. That's not how that works. That's just not how that works.
I want to understand what you're saying. Are you saying that DRX
people
is
overvalue?
It's
not results-based analysis. It's not results-based analysis because the games are fine. The problem here is expecting that kind of performance the next year when it's a different meta. It's going to be a different meta, as always is.
Well, do you want them to just not try it again? Teammates. If I won Worlds, I'm at least giving them a half a year to try it. Because I
would do that. I would.
I expect the team to at least try that. They're going to give all of them qualifying offers if. At the very least, I don't actually, again, it doesn't work the same as basketball.
Did DRX make playoffs in spring? I swear it was Fred and Breon, but nevertheless, they were not a good team to start off with.
Yep. I'm just saying qualifying offers, I don't think it works identical to a basketball. I mean, again, with the most part, the team who actually has the restricted free agent gets to actually make the first offer. But
from the things that I've been looking through as much as I can, the players that do win Worlds always try to command for more money, and like teams have been trying to. Well, it's been rumored that teams want to cut down on their spending.
Jungling is going to change. I actually forgot to check the stupid patches for the next season. I usually do that in advance, but I've been a little off on like playing League recently, so it's not been the same. Next season, I'm sure. I mean, jungling is always changed the most out of all of them.
Is FlyQuest gonna land a big time play?
I heard they've been hitting me up a little bit, so maybe they actually pull me in eventually.
Okay, so guys, here's how this really works. I know no one's gonna tell you this stuff, but I'll tell you to you because I like you guys. Okay, so generally, when it comes to orgs like FlyQuest, you go to a player. Let's say Mr. JTH is my player. He's the big time player that I want. You're the most sought after agent in the offseason, okay? Your contract is up and you want to test the open market. I come to you. I want to sign you as my support. You know what you're going to say to me? Tell me what you would say to me.
I play ADC, so you better give me that role instead.
I'd kick you. But you know what you're going to say to me? Who do you have?
I would say how many zeros are we talking about?
No. Well,
how many digits we talk? That's the first thing that I would say.
Okay, that's one of two things. Okay, he's being facetious, but the thing here is, you would say, who do you have? Can Fly, and that's the problem with the other thing beside money is, can FlyQuest actually attract top tier players based off of the not just the history of the org? It's more like players like playing for bigger orgs with proven success because they think in their minds that's going to give them success, right?
Teams come down to NA all the time to bad teams. Players come down to NA teams that are bad all the time to just come down to NA teams because they want to experience it like America. Like America.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But the thing here is that's what they got Papa Smithy for. That's what I'm trying to bring up is Papa Smithy is going to give them that leverage in negotiations to get these big players, though. If FlyQuest had a random dude that went up to fucking Barrel and was like, can you join FlyQuest? He'd be like, who do you have? Who's going to be my mid laner? They would go, pole belter. He'd be like, fuck off. That's literally how that would go. Because I'm just bad players. That's just
there are a lot of situations where good players come to bad teams. It happens a lot, and it's all because of either money or they want to go a different region to try it out.
Or they'll take pay cuts to play with players that they like playing with.
There's a lot of possibilities, but just think about it. The thought process of stupid Ruler going over to Team Liquid, that's interesting. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen, but
Reaper's left 100 Thieves. Ruler's left Gen G. Impact and some-based contracts are up.
Who cares about Reaper?
He's going to be able to talk that Wong Dong Slop Dong language to them.
You're just racist. Never mind.
Also, the thing that I need to bring up to people is this mentality that pro players have is they want to play for orgs that have done successfully well. Please, guys, believe me. Bjergsen would not have signed for FlyQuest last year. He would not have. I promised you, he wouldn't have. He's why I signed for Team Liquids because Team Liquid has proven to have success. Teams like orgs like Team Liquid, EG, 100 Thieves, Cloud9, TSM. These orgs have proven they are able to win championships. Now, I'm not saying that all championships are created equally. What I'm saying here is that in someone's mind, you go, that org won consistent titles, I should join that org because that org guarantees me the best success of winning a title.
I think saying that FlyQuest could not land successful. I mean, first of all, 2020 FlyQuest makes no impact on today's meta, and specifically, a lot of players don't even remember past last week because they play video games and have short attention spans.
I thought FlyQuest were a pretty solid team that year, actually.
Well, yeah, when they had Power of Evil when he wasn't bad.
Yeah, Santorin was like top 4 jungler. Ignar was like one of the best supports in the league. Ignar, the most constantly disrespected support. He played bad this year. Don't get me wrong, he played really bad this year, but I thought when he was at his prime in NA, I thought it was actually pretty good, honestly.
His prime is still in Korea. His prime is when he was playing in Korea. He was literally one of the best players.
When he's on form, he's pretty good, but when he's bad, he's really bad.
That's what happens when an engaged support plays poorly, is because they engage and miss or engage in bad situations. That's
maybe he was overrated and other teams just made him look good.
He was so good for so many years. There's no way he's overrated. You're just being a hater right now. If you say that ever again to me, I'm punching you in the face.
That's because you don't like accepting other different philosophies of how
you don't even believe that. You're just trying to be a contrarian. And that's what I hate about you.
No, what
you just want to say something. What if Bjergsen was actually an alien and he's not actually Danish?
And you know what's actually factual? Jensen went to Worlds and he didn't. So you can have that.
I literally don't care about either one of those players. I don't know why you.
The orgs that wanted Jensen also ended up almost not going to Worlds, so you're not having him. Just saying. That was a factual thing.
We go over this so often, it drives me crazy.
And your points are always bad. That's that. But the thing here, guys, with the off season also is, so a player wants to go to an org they think is going to give them success. That's why FlyQuest have Papa Smithy. Papa Smithy can attract these players. I'm not saying they can't get top tier players. I'm just saying that's what they have Papa Smithy for. Like Cloud9 could easily get top tier players. They literally have the pedigree speaks for itself.
Doublelift and Afromoo. Why would you want Doublelift again?
Okay, Impact Impact's proven he can win on different.
Literally just those are legacy players that you're hoping pan
Rainer,
out
brother. It's rumored that Spica and Doublelift and Spica, Bjergsen, and Double are going to be probably playing for 100 Thieves. So half of that roster doesn't really exist.
Wait, did you say Bjergsen and who else?
That's the biggest one. Spica, Bjergsen, and Doublelift will be playing.
Why do people want? First of all, NA needs to move past the past, and I think that at this point in time, it's better to get players that are going to understand.
He's playing this year.
I don't care about Spica at all. Spica is never going to. He's
okay
never going to be an international caliber player.
None of these players are. None of them. No NA player will ever play how Kanavi played at Worlds ever. That'll never happen.
That's
Even though you say it's a possibility,
it is a possibility.
It's never happened, and it's been 8 years. So if you're gonna.
Wow, you know what? Did you know?
And then next year, you're going to tell me the same thing, and I'm going to say it didn't happen again, and you're going to agree with me. You're going to be like, maybe this year.
You know what? Because I don't use past precedents to say whether or not something's going to happen eventually.
8 years of world success there. So you're going to deny.
You're saying that NA is never going to succeed in the span of the future forever, which is infinite, because
8 years.
It hasn't happened in 8 years.
It hasn't happened since season 1, and we are in season 13.
Go take your medicine, old man. It's time for you to go to sleep.
This guy's
past your bedtime.
This is your argument. It might happen. What about all these other big?
I'm saying there is an eventuality where we spend enough time and it happens. You're saying it's never going to happen
in 12 years. That is more than a
decade. You just boosted up the time.
No, it's not. It's been 12 years of Worlds.
Yeah, but you said 8 years too many times in a row.
We've been watching Worlds. You've told me that every year, and it's never happened. And if you were right in that next year,
I don't care about next year. I didn't even say next year. I said it's going to happen eventually. There's an NA player that plays eventually.
Ever.
You're psychotic. I don't know what to tell you.
The only person that you brought up that I agree with was just Jankos, but that was that was EU's context. But if we're talking just NA, this year proved that's not going to happen anytime soon. I'm not saying
I didn't say anytime soon. Anytime soon might be true. I said
I'm not disagreeing with that. What I'm saying is that
yes, you are. You just disagreed with it.
By this year alone, that's not happening. Eventually, I'm going to give it 10 years.
Maybe not 10. I think it happens in 5.
You said that 8 years ago. You literally said eventually, and NA's going to.
I did say eventually NA was going to be good. I always say that.
That was 2014. Okay.
I didn't say 5 years though. NA had some good teams.
That's your cop out. That's your cop out. I see your game now. That's your cop out. You're like,
I don't have a game.
I didn't give a specified time on it, so
that's because I don't know the future. Why are you laughing at me like that, little Smeagol? They're laughing
I
like
caught
a
on to your
gremlin.
game.
There's no game.
That's how you can claim if you're right. You're saying I never put a time limit on
I
it.
didn't put a time. Why would I put a time on something when I can't see the future? My argument is it was going to happen eventually. Your argument.
Remember?
I was right about the LPL, so you can't even argue. I said the LPL.
No, but you stretched it in a way that didn't make any sense, though. If they're second best, eventually, when the year is right for them, they're going to be the best. That's just kind of how that works usually.
I was the one that
I know, but you act like it was a giant surprise when it's like, no, they're second best. It's very probable.
Said that. I said that they were the best in season 5, and I was wrong.
I was incorrect. So much.
I literally, you can ask Jimmy, you can ask anybody.
I'm saying I didn't disagree with you. What I'm saying here is
what are you saying to me?
It's not improbable that someone who is second place can overcome the person that's better than them given the right meta.
I don't disagree with that. What are you saying to me right now? What is your argument? Because I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. You're just jumping all over the place.
I'm figured out what you're doing.
Because I don't know what you're doing. Because
I figured out. Guys in the chat, Rainer, I figured him out finally.
I'm about to throw up because you're just giving me so much.
Well, Closer is a free agent, and so is Santorin. So FlyQuest would definitely benefit from having them. What if FlyQuest took the 100 Thieves roster? That'd be so bad.
I guess.
And instead of having somebody that had impact, it would be just literally.
It'd just be an arguably
worse
similar
roster?
Team. Worse. I don't know.
Somebody has better carry potential, I would say, but
the problem with switching, you need to switch these players out. You need to get a lot different players inside of these rosters because of the fact that proven players that actually are kind of stuck in their old ways are not going to switch to a meta that.
New players that are open to trying out different ideas and styles.
I think right now the big people that I'd be looking at are Blaze Olive. If again he's not available, obviously. Palafox is not great, but I think you can mold him into somebody who's average on the right team.
Do something with him, I think. Yeah.
I think that if you want to be somebody who just makes an NA, you get somebody similar to Niski in terms of just like not incredibly good, not going to be doing something amazing on the but he generates a philosophy on the team that's going to make you do well inside of a regional competition. These are the types of things NA really can't just go out in there and get like Faker or Knight. You can't just go out there and do that because why would they want to go? Everybody, why wouldn't they try? I would try. I would put in like an offer in for my stupid class team if I could. I don't know how to contact them.
This is because that 100 Thieves team you're referencing. I think the issue here with them is like they were really good at one style that when they tried when they tried out other play styles, they just really weren't good at them. They were really actually really bad at them. They were just like that's why I called that roster that I called them the Rogue of NA. They had a really good early game, but outside of that, they really weren't that good. Outside of just early game. So, okay, let's go over the other last topics of tonight. That way we can kind of wrap the show up. All right, so Rekkles is rejoining Fnatic. So, Rekkles played for Fnatic at the beginning of the EU LCS 2013 spring split. He played for Fnatic for 2 years after Fnatic lost at Worlds 2014 group stage. Rekkles left them for Froggen's Alliance Super Team, and that failed. He went back to Fnatic during the LCS, the EU LCS 2015 summer split where Fnatic went 18-0. Rekkles stayed with Fnatic for 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020. When Fnatic lost to Top Esports at Worlds 2020 and Top 8, Rekkles left them again for the G2 Super Team. Now, context here, people. Please understand this, because this is what no one understands on Reddit. Okay, listen to me. It makes sense for Rekkles to have left Fnatic at that current moment in time because G2 were beating Fnatic in every single finals. Yes, they could have built another roster around Rekkles, but they did that, guys. They did that, though. They did that. They literally, I promise you, they did that. It just wasn't going to work out at that current moment in time with him in Fnatic. It just wasn't. They had already built many rosters around him. There were bad rosters, so I like some of these Fnatic rosters. They had a lot of issues no one really brings up, but they were fine.
So you're saying they should have got rid of Rekkles because it hadn't worked out in the past. And
he left himself because of that. He left because they couldn't beat G2 in the finals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but the problem...
It made sense to leave.
Are you asking about Rekkles leaving? I agree with that. If you're talking about Fnatic letting him go, I don't agree with that.
They tried to offer him a big contract, but he said no.
Rekkles leaving made sense to me because of the fact that you're going to a team who's internationally proven to work. They have a better kind of combination of players with Jankos, who is arguably the best Midwestern jungler in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You have Wonder, who was playing well the previous season. Mickey X, who was the best support. Like
Mm-hmm.
all of these players, and you add in probably the best Western ADC for a while.
G2 had made top 4 again that year at Worlds. He's yeah, they did face Genji, and Genji were weaker than G2 that year, but it's also what people need to factor in is it's same thing. An example, it was when Kevin Durant and went to the Warriors that year. I'm pretty sure he's still on the Warriors, but
no, he's on the Nets right now.
It's the same situation when Kevin Durant left for the team that was winning the trophies. They tried to beat G2 as much as they could. Remember the year when they faced them in 2019? It was 3-2s when they faced them against each other. Guys, in the next year after that, it was just 3-0s. The spring one was really dominant, and the one in summer was a close 3-0, but it's still a 3-0, so you got to kind of take that for what it is. I think, because after that, the narrative was Fnatic's not going to do anything without Rekkles. Rekkles was their whole org. Guys, they literally beat G2 the next year with upset. The person that people claim to me is worse than Rekkles, which doesn't make any sense if you actually watch their gameplay. Upset with Fnatic, beat their biggest rival, and G2 doesn't go to Worlds for the very first time, ever. And that's when Rekkles left to join G2. And I think Rekkles put a lot of issues into that G2 team, but I'll go over that some other day. But it was already proven that Fnatic could do well without them. Kind of like how people said Cloud9 wasn't going to do anything without Sneaky. They very clearly showed that they can win.
I will say that Sneaky, the difference between Rekkles and Sneaky was the fact that I think Sneaky was bad the previous season before they got rid of him. And the previous season before
also,
that. He was
fun fact, guys. Cloud9 have won more splits without Sneaky than with him.
It's because it's been a longer time. They won literally every single. They went to the finals every single year he was there.
Just pointing it out. That's a fact.
Well, we could just look at percentages. They won more often with him there than with
not. But that's the thing though, is Upset is so much better than Rekkles though, and I like Rekkles though. I do. He's a little bit of a diva. He's a little bit of a pussy bitch, but you know, I think Upset is just a much better player. Now, if Upset wanted to leave, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But
Upset's better than who?
Upset's better than Rekkles by pretty much. That's
I agree with. Yeah, I don't think there's a disagreement.
Unless Upset generally wanted to leave, then it's fine. But or if not even Upset, why did they get Unforgiven? Unforgiven played better than Rekkles this year. Unforgiven did.
Well, again, we don't know who they were able to get.
They wanted to get Carzzy.
Rekkles played pretty well in that secondary league.
I thought he played okay.
I think he played fine. So there's an argument to be made that.
But they wanted to get Carzzy. They wanted Carzzy.
Carzzy's.
He was the worst ADC in the league. Don't even front. He was the worst ADC in the league.
I don't know. I mean, they could have. At least they didn't get Wadid. Garnin.
What did you do that for? No, I'm just kidding. I'm thinking a joke. There was the other information that came out today. They could have had Patrick. They were going to trade Upset for Patrick. That didn't happen. So my thing here with Fnatic is a lot of orgs do this though. They bring back players who they didn't have success with. But it's the thing here is I just in 2 years, guys, I guarantee you, or maybe by the end of next year. By the end of next year, you're going to start hearing some issues this Fnatic team have. Rekkles brought his own set of issues to Fnatic. I don't know why Fnatic are going to go, you know what? Now that he's been gone from us for about 2 years, all that stuff is just going to be gone. No, all that stuff's going to happen again. It's going to happen in a different way. There was just much better players they could have gotten. I think this is just a downgrade in just most senses, though. You know? Like, you don't even have Hillsing anymore. You have Rux. I think Rux played well for the games he did, but it's Rux. That's pretty much it. Mr. MSK, what do you think Rekkles coming back to Fnatic is going to really do? I don't think it's going to do anything, honestly. They'll probably be a top 4 team. Probably.
Who?
Because the thing here is, okay, Wonder plays weak side, and he can play strong side. Wonder's a neutralizing top laner. Razork is a hyperactive carry jungler. Humanoid is a mage scaling mid laner, like most mid laners are. The thing here is, I don't know how this might be a worse Fnatic roster without upsetting Hillsing on it. I don't know. I just like, who's your carry threat? Rekkles? Rekkles is gonna play passive and scale up. Like, I don't really know, honestly. I don't know. That's just my thing. The other big one, the big news that came out, Doublelift, Spica, and Bjergsen might join 100 Thieves. Bjergsen, the player who arguably was maybe questionably top 4. 100 Thieves are like, you know what? Time to dust off that old Bjergsen. Like, if 100 Thieves actually get Bjergsen, I'm not even trolling Bjergsen. I'm not even flaming Bjergsen here. That would be more of a downgrade compared to Abadage.
But barely.
I think Abadage is better right now.
It'll be a pretty sizable downgrade.
I think Abadage has played recently.
I don't think it'd be a downgrade that much.
I think
Abadage
was not a better team than Bjergsen, but like Abadage wasn't that much better of a middle laner than Bjergsen. Like,
I don't know, man.
Like, agree in a laning aspect. I think Bjergsen actually might be slightly. It's arguable. It's arguable who's better.
I don't know. What does Bjergsen offer better? I think Abadage, if you take out the weeks that he was scaling up, I think he played legitimately fine. Bjergsen, I can't really remember a whole lot of games where he played as well as Abadage did. I just can't.
I mean, we could think about definitely his Swain games.
Yeah. Those for sure are standouts.
Yeah.
But I think Abadage was just I get it. He failed at Worlds. I understand. But
it wasn't even a fail at World. He failed towards the end of the split. Like,
Bjergsen did too. They both failed in big ways.
No, I feel like Abadage
beat Bjergsen. Abadage beat Bjergsen in those playoff matches. 100 Thieves versus Team Liquid. He beat him. He actually beat him very handily in a lot of those games too.
I kind of agree.
That big of a handle. That was more of a team match. Like,
I mean,
Team
it
Liquid
is.
just never functioned.
I think Abadage played better in the team fights.
100 Thieves was a way better team than Team Liquid by that point.
Yeah,
it's not arguable.
I said that.
But that wasn't because of Abadage.
It wasn't because of Abadage, but I think Abadage. It's hard for me to say that replacing, like, even if it was arguable who was better, there's no reason to replace Sideways.
Yeah, the thing though, Team Liquid. We can look at what Team Liquid just did. They swapped out Bjergsen for Jensen. That didn't work out for them at all. And now 100 Thieves are like, we're gonna try exactly what Team Liquid did. Didn't that fail for Team Liquid? I just can't. I'm not even ragging on Bjergsen. I don't like him.
But my thing is,
it's a downgrade on every level.
Do with Jensen?
They actually won with him and went to Worlds with him too.
They won LCS.
Yeah, they did. Actually, twice.
What happened? Okay. What'd you say?
They won and they went to MSI. They got second place at MSI that year too.
What player are we talking about?
Jensen. I was talking about Jensen. But the thing here is, I just can't think of a world where Bjergsen's better on any. I mean, maybe Laney face, sure, but every other area, I thought this is way better.
So I will say,
and he impacted
it's
team
not
better too.
Just
but
about
also,
him individually.
but we have to look past the playing. Abadage mentally was just broken. Like
at Worlds, but when he was playing,
no, not at Worlds, dude. Have you seen him against Cloud9? He was broken there too.
We're talking about a team that he wasn't gonna beat. I'm talking about
no. He was broken against dude. Like I said, once those votes came in, he was starting to break down mentally towards the end of the split, towards the playoffs. Like
I will say,
trust me,
I don't know, man. I think that this is a downgrade on every single level.
I don't think it's that much of a downgrade. Like I think it's lateral.
Abadage, even the playoffs, Abadage beat Bjergsen in the playoff games that mattered to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
well, he didn't perform that much better than Bjergsen. That's a like performance wise, yeah, but like mentally, like Abadage just.
To me personally, if someone did that to my team, I'd fire that person because there's no conceivable way he's even close. Because you're not getting anything better. You're at worst getting a side.
But you're not getting any worse. You're literally.
I have
you're trading someone who technically was better, but mentally was worse. Because when you see those.
But Bjergsen's mental resilience didn't get him to play better either. I mean, it's two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah, but it's like. You're acting like he's.
So you want a guy that mentally implodes, or a guy that mentally stable but still doesn't play
played better, but like Abadage mentally was just burnt out. Like
that's what I'm trying to say. It's two sides of the same coin. At worst, it's just a side grade, and I think that's just not really worth it.
But sometimes the mental overtake. You could be an excellent mid laner, but like look at how Danny was. Danny was somewhat decent, but if your mental ain't there,
so you think they're trading out a worse. So you think they're trading out a player with the worst mental state?
I think they're trading out someone who is good at what he does, but probably just didn't live. Like sometimes when you get in that spotlight, you're only good for so long, and then you're done. I think
so. You're saying the idea is trade out a guy with a worse mental fortitude for a guy with a better mental fortitude with slightly worse landing phase.
Sometimes because think about the team.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask you, how does that make them better?
Because the team they're putting around them. It might not make the middle lane better, but look at how the team played around them. They weren't no better either. Like, think about it. They weren't communicating with each other. The team was broken. Abadagi mentally was broken. His play style didn't, like, he was still able to play himself. But anytime it was like team battle, it was like he could turn it on and it was just turned off. And it's like, what? It's like, wait a second, how are you good here, but you're not good here? It's like
that's
because the inconsistency is what would kill you.
But the problem here is he would be theoretically getting switched out for a player that he performed better than. Actually, he finished in both finals over Bjergsen, beat Bjergsen in the playoffs both times. He finished higher than him.
I will
Bjergsen
say
actually had the better team, quote unquote, right? Not me thinking that, but you know.
But at the end of the day, you gotta look at it. The whole LCS sucks. It's like you're getting the better. You're swapping out a player who could be worse, but at the same time, we all perform like shit. That's me. At this point.
Wait, James wouldn't perform like shit on Team Liquid. What?
Man, James would get cooked. You would get cooked too. Like them. At the end of the day, you gotta switch it up because when your team stops communicating,
I'm not saying they shouldn't switch it up. What I'm saying is like that's not switching it up. That's literally just.
I will say
that is switching it up. You're taking
that is just putting a Band-Aid on something.
Abadage was literally like arguably the 6th best mid laner inside of NA this year.
So was Bjergsen. They're getting 6 for 6.
Like if we're gonna argue,
I think he was 5th, but his team around him just didn't
I
work.
don't think so. I think Bjergsen. If I have to grade them, I think there is a side grade. It's somewhat close to a side grade.
Okay. Let's rank the mid laners. Jensen is number one.
Jensen, no. Not after this split. No, I would say Jojo Pion for me.
Jojo Pion.
Takuli, I think, played really well. And who else was there?
A Blaze Olive, maybe? No.
I think
Blaze Olive should
played really. I promise you, go back and watch the game. Takuli played actually really good. He's arguably top 3.
Okay. I think it's an argument, honestly. If you want me to be honest, it's an argument between me, Takuli, and Bjergsen for top 3.
I would say Abadage would be top 4.
No, he's 6th. I think Blaze Olive was better than him this year.
Because the reason why I think
Palafox was better too.
Top 5. That's why I say Palafox. I think played well too. The problem here is like
both of those were better.
The thing here is if Jojo Pion and Takuli and Palafox, like we said, are probably a bit better.
I did not say Palafox. I even argued that.
The thing here is what is 100 Thieves getting with him then?
So listen. My argument is that Takuli and Bjergsen were close in levels.
Even though you might lose mid lane, it's like think about it. Like even with Abadage, they weren't winning mid lane that much. It's like with Bjergsen, it might be the same thing. It's a lateral trade, but now
I'll say it's per even,
better.
Right? No, this is all I'm bringing up. All I'm bringing up is the point of swapping out players most of the time is to get a better player.
You get the leadership of Bjergsen. It's like.
But that's why that didn't even work on a team with who was comparable.
It didn't work
to
on
his.
A team that was conflicting the whole year. Whippo was conflicting with Bjergsen as well as Core JJ. We heard a story about how Core JJ and Bjergsen did like see eye to eye what the fuck they wanted to do. When it's conflict like that, you have to mask it. You got Han Sama who was conflicting with Bjergsen.
Even with Bjergsen, there's other Spica joining. I think that is. Not even that is closer is much better than Spica. Than just this year alone. I think that is an absolute downgrade.
They did not try and leave.
Might keep
Closer left. They didn't. They tried to keep him. There's no saying that they didn't. But
yeah.
He might still stay. There's.
I mean, anything can happen. Yeah. True, but
Abadage needed to go.
Abadage, I agree.
Yeah,
needed to go. But I'm thinking. All I'm saying is getting a player that arguably maybe did just as good as
him. How many players above him were available?
None.
That's to say. You like?
Are you gonna? I mean, if you could pay EG top.
Bjergsen was literally the only one that was available to go to 100 Thieves.
Jensen go to 100 Thieves and win them a title again.
The only one that they could have got was Jensen. That was the only one.
They can get him now. He's a free agent.
It's like
that's not happening.
But the thing is, Jensen already expressed he might want to go back to EU. That's why it was like.
To be fair, he didn't play well in this. I agree. He did not play well this spring split at all, really. In
Like,
playoffs, he kind of turned it on.
I
but
think
really
like because like when I look at the LCS, there only was like what I saw 3. Takuli was third. 2, like the thing is like, do you put Jensen as 2? It's like
no.
Jojo Pion
I
played.
honestly
I think
make an argument.
Jojo was the best middle laner by far. That's not even close.
I think
I will say he was the best, but I think this obviously another thing was one of the worst in terms of just comparative levels. I think this was one of the worst levels for NA mid laners.
Yeah, actually,
I don't think he was that good. I don't think Jojo Pion is going to hold that title again because I don't think he has the talent to. But
unless we're forgetting another team. I mean, no,
the top mid laners, Maple was not better than Bjergsen.
It's just a soup.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it was just a big mess. You can make an argument for everybody being the top 3 to 5. You could make an argument between Bjergsen, Bjergsen, Ablaze Olive, Takuli, and Palavox could arguably you could switch them anywhere. I don't think you can make an argument for Abadaga to be in there. I think you can't really make an argument for Jensen either. I mean, I think regardless, I think all of these players were pretty solid, but Bjergsen is a slight upgrade in terms of just the only problem, like in terms of just talent right now. He played better than him. The only problem is Bjergsen's mindset is poor in terms of for League, and I think that is the argument I could say is it might hold them back.
Okay, now if I will go up to you and we're getting a team together, and I don't know what's going on with the 100 Thieves, and I tell you I'm swapping our mid laner out for the guy that he lost to.
No.
In clutch playoff matches. How will you convince me to change that player out?
Do you think that it was directly correlated to mid lane?
You're looking at how Abadagi played.
No, I'm looking at how the team plays. I remember watching the games. I don't know how they play. The thing here is you have to make it make sense when you're looking roster. How will you convince someone that this makes sense unless this pans out? I mean,
I have a question.
If this pans out very well for Bjergsen and he plays amazing, he's top.
Do you think that Abadagi massively outperformed Bjergsen in that series? Just one to one.
Nah.
I want your honest opinion.
Was spring and summer?
No, just
for spring. Yes, summer. No.
He was better in spring. I'll agree, but the problem with it, I'm talking specifically about the playoffs.
Also, the biggest difference with Team Liquid was the fact that Hans Sama carried a lot of games for them. Mostly Bjergsen. Hans Sama did that for them.
Okay, that's still not what I'm saying. Did Abadagi outperform Bjergsen to an extent where you think that he was a better player?
Yes, and even during a split where
not just
he
the
didn't play as well. He still won. That's the problem.
Though. I don't care about that. That happens.
You can win. That's think about it. Like we seen the games. It wasn't like Abdak is.
I'm not saying he completely smashed him. What I'm saying is, if I come to you and I'm like, let's swap our mid laner for who? The same guy that beat him in clutch playoff matches. You're gonna be like, what? Now, if Bjergsen pans out for them and he works out very well for them, that's gonna look good for them. I'm not saying it can't work.
Guess who they're also bringing someone he.
Doublelift, that's the thing, yeah. So the thing with Doublelift now,
Abadagi wasn't working with any of the guys on the team. Clearly, you saw.
So it's just a synergy thing that's going to help this out better.
Yeah, because that was the issue too. Abadagi was literally playing mid lane by himself. Of course, that's what it is. But I mean, where like half the time, Closer wasn't helping him. Closer was helping
Sunday. It was mostly top lane.
It was like it was. I mean, even when Abadagi was like, getting LCS and it was like, where the fuck's Closer at? It's like,
so I'll ask you guys this: is Doublelift an upgrade over FBI?
No, I don't think so at all, and I'm actually surprised that move was made at all. FBI again.
Oh, great! I thought the exact same thing. I thought I was the only person alone in this.
I don't know why Doublelift is being given a chance over FBI, who is. Literally, again, I don't think he had a great summer slate, but he was the single best, honestly, maybe most impactful player last year in the entire league.
Okay.
He also played well in spring too. When they started turning, Pure Factor, when they started turning it on, they actually looked like a really good team.
The thing with FBI is a lot of people are believing that FBI and Hui are a 1-2 package. In 100 Thieves, they want to keep Hui. And that was the issue.
And then.
And that's the thing too. I don't think Doublelift is much better than like FBI, but like
Doublelift is not going to be much better than most ADCs coming in.
We'll see how good he comes into this. I mean, I think
he's better than Berserker.
No, I think Berserker is the better than Doublelift has ever been. Not even just now.
Who's the 80 carries in the league? Well, we won't know, but FBI is going to be here. We're going to have
FBI,
Berserker.
He's going to be on the bottom teams.
Who's on the other? Fuck my pussy hole.
We got Berserker,
It's almost gone. No,
FBI.
those are his biggest
Berserker,
competition.
FBI. They're rumor he's going to EG. That was the rumor.
There's that's the
you
thing.
got Team Liquid's going to have an all-Korean team. It seems like
They might have Ruler. That's
no. They said Yeon.
Hypothetically, if
They said
Team Liquid
Yeon.
well, Yeon and Alea are their Team Liquid Academy package. They might actually sell to another team. But if they get Ruler, imagine if they reunite Core JJ and Ruler together.
Oh yeah, that's.
I don't see it working out for Doublelift too well. And Doublelift wants to put with Busio, who's not played LCS at all. Like that's, I just don't see how this is not a worse roster constructed wise.
Constructed wise, it can't be much worse.
To be fair, that is true.
Because we'll know how these guys play. It's like,
well, that's the thing about predictions. I'm just saying from what I'm seeing.
What I'm saying, this is a lateral move. This is lateral because
just a wave.
No,
I think it's a slight upgrade in some positions, and it's a massive downgrade all around.
You're black.
Yeah.
Oh wow! When did that happen?
Wait. You got the fucking thing for your mic.
I stand.
No, God, hell, my bad. My brain is fried. I've never seen you wear a headset. Actually, you bastard.
No, I always wore the headset. What it was, I usually just had it. Like
your skin blended that shit in.
Yeah. So
I never noticed.
And my shit's black. That's why it was like.
Okay, who's the best player in the NBA right now? I haven't got a chance to watch the recent games.
Giannis.
Tell you, trade out Giannis for LeBron. Are you doing that right now?
No,
because that would make sense.
Like
not this LeBron. Not he's
Giannis
38.
Giannis is literally just unarguably the best player in the world right now.
Where's that one black guy? I forgot his name. He was on the Cavaliers right now.
That's not very.
He had the highest average shooting position. Fuck about his name.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell.
So yeah, he's
Donovan Mitchell. Just I was expecting him to go to the Knicks this season. Him going.
I was happy he didn't go to the Knicks. That
you don't like the Knicks?
I'm a Knicks fan, motherfucker.
Really? He's He's a giant.
Him and Jalen Brunson, neither of them play defense.
Jalen Brunson.
I don't fucking need that.
Look at Donovan Mitchell, man. He's a lanky. I don't see a world.
He don't play defense.
I think they could teach him. He has all the tools to do it.
The Knicks don't play defense.
Well, I agree.
Play defense.
They got Tim. You don't think Tibbs can teach him?
Motherfucking 45 minutes a game.
Well, he will.
Tore his ACL by game 60.
He would have, but he also. Yeah,
I won't disagree with that. Glad part of me wanted him, but the
Jalen Brunson was the best
Utah
piece.
wanted back. No, Utah can suck my dick. Utah wanted too damn much.
No, they did. I mean, they got what did they get? Colin Sexton 3 picks or 2 picks?
No, but the thing is, they was trying to get rid of Colin Sexton forever. They was ready to give him Colin Sexton for a couple second round draft picks. They was trying to get rid of him.
Colin Sexton, the year he played, he got injured last year.
He'll stay healthy longer. That and his shooting percentage is garbage. Like compared to Donovan Mitchell, they.
It's an upgrade, obviously, but
of course, it's an upgrade.
Colin Sexton's not that old, and he's not terrible.
He's not that. He's not that old, but it's like
he has talent. I mean, I think he was 3 years ago. He was the best player on the. No, who was?
No, it was Darius Garland. It was
3 years ago. Darius Garland wasn't there. Darius Garland this year specifically is the best player by far. Darius Garland is talent, man.
3 years ago, who the fuck was out there 3 years ago?
So
3 years ago,
well, I forgot. That's just all the topics. Is I don't know. I mean, these moves are at worst they're questionable. These are some questionable moves here.
But honestly, this is more of a lift LCS backup. I don't think this is a lot of these are not like team moves. These are These are not moves for worlds. These are like we got to play good right now. These are we need to start boosting LCS ratings. Fuck worlds because we already know whoever gets there first, whoever wins LCS ain't getting far.
Because I know they try to keep closer. I do, but Spica, I get it. Double from Bjergsen, I get it, but that's such a different dynamic now compared to what they had before. I get it. They want to play together. I understand that, but is that going to be the edge they need?
Closer was already kind of looking to leave anyways.
I could tell him man wanted to leave.
FBI didn't want to be on the team anymore.
His both Uki in lane. I wouldn't want to wish on my worst enemy.
like he doesn't mind playing with who he. I think what it was too. I think their friendship was kind of getting like torn apart because it's like
that's the saying. When winning cures everything. When they were winning everything, it looked really good for them. But when they started losing a lot and they started having a lot of issues this year together, they just were like, you could tell it wasn't happening for them anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
I don't
wasn't
think
bad support. Abernathy gave up on himself. Clothing stopped caring. FBI trying to band-aid it up, and some days just over here like, hey guys, are we playing league or what? It was literally like I kept saying when they played Cloud9, it looked like 5 people who didn't know each other just solo queued at the same time. That's what it was. Like,
I agree.
Like I said, and I'm like, what's those was it the ballots for the was it
All
the
pro?
All Pro came out? Aberdagi, he didn't make.
Okay, at least Abadage should have been on the All Pro team over Bjergsen.
He should have. Like I said, that tilted him in the wrong direction. That didn't make him better. It made him worse.
You could tell he looked at that and was like, man, I'm not even valued. Fuck.
And I think at that point he gave up.
This was when he was turning it on. People factor in both spring and summer. He was bad the first 2 weeks. Every week after that, he played fine. He played really well.
Like I said, and I think people took it against him for the first 2 weeks. And that's the fucked up thing about it.
That's the problem here. That's happened. You're gonna find out even more out this year. When you play badly,
motherfucker
the first
put
2 weeks,
Cooley's third team, and this motherfucker was like 6, like 5, 6, 7. It was like, I mean, not middle laner, but on the team, he might have been the third best middle laner. It was like literally they took consistency over all the whole month, but it was like, okay, this shit don't add up. It's like at this point, it's like, okay, this is why when people were shitting on the votes, I'm like, I can't blame him. The shit's not inconsistent. How the fuck you got all these first place votes? Shouldn't they roll over? But oh no, they can't roll over. I was like, wait a second.
This is what happens. This is what happened to Jensen too. Some splits that Jensen could have won MVP. People directly voted for. It's how all the system works. A few people did something to the point where he wouldn't have gotten the amount of votes he needed to win something. It's like people like do this thing where if they're petty, they'll vote for someone worse. So like there was a split where Kane, TL's ex-head coach, voted for fucking, what was his name? Dokla, when he was complete garbage, over someone like, I think it was Jensen. I think it was Jensen that split, where Jensen, with that vote, would have won MVP. But since he voted for Dokla, Jensen doesn't get that extra vote over the other guy, so Jensen doesn't get MVP. There was a split where Jensen had more kills than most mid laners or players in the league, and he didn't win MVP. He was the best player in the league, and the only reason why Doublelift got it was because 5 other people voted for people that Doublelift liked, actually. So I took away votes from Jensen. Listen, this actually happened. I'm not making it because I like it.
No,
trust
me. I know how MVP
people revenge vote and take away votes from the person that should get it. The person that,
well,
I mean, Doublelift getting it it's not bad, but it's
that happens in every single sport.
Every sport, like
literally,
this year was baseball. They was trying to say, "Oh, Aaron Judge didn't have a best either as Shohei Ohtani." I'm like, where the fuck was Shohei Ohtani at?
Okay, tell me why James Harden always gets MVP and the chokes in the playoffs then.
You're a bitter
because regular season. The issue is with NBA, it's a regular season award. James Harden is clutching in regular season. Playoff, he did the strip club fucking fat bitches. It's like, what?
I mean, it's not just defense. Defense switches up drastically in the playoffs. They switch how they play.
First of all, I'm about to say James Harden. I'm about to say you think James Harden play.
I'm not saying
James
that
Harden
at
don't
all.
play no defense. I see him play like there's like a clip that's like 40 seconds long
of him just walking.
I'm here playing defense.
Him just walking, letting the ball go past him. He does that.
Yeah, that often, bullshit.
I mean, I agree with that.
His defense is okay. Let me outshoot you. That's his defense. All right, you score 30, I will score 35.
Yeah, I love James Harden. I just wish he was as good as he was.
Very last thing before we got to go because I paid out. Very last thing. I know Chad sent me this.
What?
This is like what's.
I'll cover this in a video, but we'll go over one of these rumored moves. One of them. Let's see. Why? Well, okay, first of all, why is Golden Guardians keeping Golden Guardians a trap? Why are they keeping Stixay? That be just stupid. That's just dumb. That's just dumb if they do. FBI joining EG?
FBI, that's the
FBI and someday joining EG. That's the rumor, obviously.
That's the rumor.
Inspire, Jojo Piana, and Vulcan. That's a good team.
That's a good team. Someday's an upgrade over Impact. Inspired's just as good as Closer. Jojo Piana's arguably best mid. FBI is an upgrade over Danny and Kaori, and Vulcan's like one of the best supports. That's a pretty good team right there.
Because this is okay, with Someday, if Someday decides not to stay with Seas, he then might go to EG.
Yeah, because his contract's up. His contract's legitimately up. He can go every once now at this point.
Closer is like this. If Closer does, if 100 Seas decides to go any direction, it goes Closer. If they decide not to go with Speaker, it's Santorin. Like that's the service.
I go with Santorin. But then again, Beerson and Santorin didn't work this year, like you said, so I would go with Speaker in that case.
But Beerson didn't hate Santorin. That was the one person he did dislike on the team. That's why it's one of those, we don't know what the fuck is going on. Closer is more likely Closer will stay, but if Closer does not stay, he's rumored to go to CLG. Like,
I feel so bad for him. How does a guy look that good in jungle and goes to CLG?
No, this is what it is. Everybody that's leaving 100 season is going to worse teams. Abadaga's not even rumored to go into a team. He might just go back to where he came from.
Might just go to Europe. He can't get a European team at this point. They're all probably locked in with their mid laners. He might take a split off.
No, he might go back to the Turkish. Was it Turkish?
That'd be the ERLs now. That'd be academies.
Yeah, he might, but he might just take a year off.
Because this thing, people like Abadagi who've won splits, they don't want to play for orgs like IMT and Dig. I mean, they don't want to, but you might have to if you want to keep playing. Because this thing, if you don't take it, I promise you, dude, it's how it usually happens. If you take a split off, you do not play, it's very hard for you to get back in. I mean, it's easier sometimes for the players.
That's what happens to Beerjus.
Like if Abadagi takes a split off and he doesn't take a team, I mean,
where is Johnson going?
Johnson's, FlyQuest kicked him. He's not on the contract database. That's why he's not on there.
Yeah.
Johnson.
Johnson and Johnson?
Luger.
Yeah. Yeah, Luger's still rumored to be on CLG.
I think they're good. Luger's fine.
Yeah, Luger should stay on the team. I didn't see him. That's why I'm confused.
Yeah,
the only people I see on this are Palafox and Triple.
Oh, you're looking at the bottom part of the page, right?
I'm looking
Huhi is rumored to go to Guardian. That's
again? That's where he came
from.
I
just want to point out, look at the rumors for stupid TSM right now and tell me that's not the worst team conceivable.
I think Chime is fine. I liked him.
So it was Juggle.
Maple's arguably top 6, I guess, somewhere in there.
Reddit is going to be a non-playoff team for sure.
You said that this year too.
To who?
I'm just kidding.
This is okay. Okay, the notes from IW Dominate, and I was reading a lot of articles on it. Speaker, or not articles, mostly Twitter stuff. Speaker has offers multiple teams. That's me. Speaker is the second choice. Closer is the first choice. Now they gotta look at, okay, do we pay Closer? Well, you see, they might go with Tenacity if Someday decides not to.
Yeah, if Someday doesn't go, then because remember, guys, it's all verbal agreements right now. It's all the negotiations. Anything can happen.
Because if Someday does not decide to go to EG and Team Liquid can't get
the real question.
Import career top, they might go Someday for Team Liquid. But it's rumored that Someday is going to EG.
Here's the big question: who joins IMT?
What does their roster look like? Let me
so
see.
far, it's just Revenge and Kenvi that is rumored right here.
Yeah, that's a terrible team.
There was a throw out that Abadagi might go to IMT.
And Huhi.
Yeah. No, Huhi's rumored for.
I'm saying I see a bounce back from Abadagi this year.
But
I could see it too.
But there was a tweet that was deleted real quickly. There is a chance.
Oh, there was a tweet that Jensen said he was looking for a team. That was deleted. Yeah, he's gonna be looking for a team because Cloud9 have who fuck knows who that guy is.
There is a 1 in 10,000 chance that Huhi, FBI, and Abadagi all at the IMT. They said it's you're getting at least 2 that might go on IMT. Maybe, but FBI is the most thought out of those 3.
Since the LCS is really competitive to have spots, even just with imports, if they take a split off, they're probably not coming back. That's the thing. They need. I'm not saying play on a bad team because that's gonna have its own set of issues. But if Abadagi wants to stay in the league, he might have to go to IMT.
Yeah, IMT. Yeah.
I think he'd be a much better fit for them than Power of Evil. Power of Evil's not gonna have a team. someone said about he played pretty bad this year. I'm like, he played pretty bad. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
He ran it down pretty hard. But that is gonna be it, guys. 30 seconds left. Mr. Blanks man, what do you want to say before we head out?
Yeah, all these rumors are crazy. I do believe Sunday's not coming back to 100 Seas. I like the way 100 Seas was talking about. They were just talking about blowing the whole shit up.
That video you sent me, their esports manager, he said they kind of knew this was going to be the last time we're going to have that roster.
Yeah, once they saw that, once that 100 Seas Cloud9 video got out where none of them were talking to each other, they're like, yeah, we got blown. Everybody got it.
At Worlds, when they shut the mic check, remember when FBI did the MF ult that almost won that team fight? Yeah. They're not even speaking. What is going on, man?
Like I said, at that point, at that point, it was just like, yep, we're gone.
Why would FlyQuest want to keep Philip? He was horrifyingly bad.
I think Philip's contract this year or next year is. All I know is a lot of teams, some teams don't want to cut a contract early because they have to like pay him like a certain amount to get out of it. Some teams could just like, okay, we'll give you this percentage and get you the fuck out.
Yeah, because Team Liquid just terminated Hansama's contract. You know what's crazy about Team Liquid? They paid all that money for Hansama and just terminated his contract. It's like, dude, play with him. What?
Nah, it was too high of an investment. It was sometimes you got this.
You already paid the money though. I would at least get him for another year at that point. You already paid the money for him.
Nah, if Team Liquid would have got to Worlds and failed, he would stay. Him not even get to the finals of LCS. That right there was like,
that's crazy. How like fucking Perks did all that for NA that year, and then Hansama doesn't do anything. But people were like, Hansama played so. No, he did not. Hansama played pretty questionable.
They looked at Core JJ, the only one that's like, we're keeping him.
We're going to keep you because you speak the language that we're bringing in for people.
No, Team Liquid might be all Korean team.
So Core JJ, he's like, I want Reaper. He speak my language. Okay, well we'll get you Reaper. Who you need top lane someday? He speak my language. He has the same eyes as me. Okay.
I don't think they're getting someday. I don't think someday is going.
What if Ruler goes to Team Liquid? Someday would go. I guarantee you he would. Why would he turn out playing with Core JJ and Ruler?
There's a rumor saying that like, what if Team Liquid gets $10 million to Faker? They were like, how they get
tried that before?
Yeah, no, but this time
before he said no.
But hey, to work with Core JJ again.
All right, Mr. White Guy. Mr. White Guy. Anything you want to say before we head out?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
To me personally, this 100 Thieves roster, if that's the rumored roster, that is.
I do have something to say. Yesterday, he asked me to come on stream. I asked him what it was going to be about. He said, yeah, this is an anime stream for my main channel.
That's Sunday, I said.
No, you said, I asked you what we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah,
I said I need you for Saturday, too. All right, everyone.
Didn't.
So tomorrow,
You're a liar.
Okay, the rumor. Okay.
So, tomorrow on my main channel, we will be talking. I have the stream set up. We'll be around 7 p.m. PST. We're talking about anime and a lot of good stuff.
Your
actually.
house.
Okay. What do you think for import topic juggle? Keegan and Piosic on Team Liquid.
That would be. I think that would arguably be one of the two worst imports you could possibly get. Like, I think they're both bad. I'm glad they won Worlds, but they're not going to do that again. It might be possible.
Yeah, don't let Sean. Kingan was not that good. Don't let Sean.
Kingan was good in finals.
Yes.
Just not all year.
Hey, man. Hey. He won finals. Cordelia won World. Hey, they won
man. Just like I said, Abadagi won the playoffs where it matters against Bjergsen.
Kingan would be good in NA. It's not arguable. He would.
Oh,
he
I forgot.
Doesn't mean he did well, man.
I forgot. Oh, my God. Summit said the reason why he didn't join Mad Lions was because he might be joining an LCS team. Summit on Team Liquid. Summit was the best player in the LCS when he was playing.
I'm not going to disagree. I'd like him to. He is.
Summit is Korean. He was the guy that Cloud9 got rid of back for their.
He was on what team was he on before?
He was on
really
FPX.
Bad team. No. We're talking about.
Oh, it's Korea. He was on Sandbox.
He was on Sandbox. He was the best player on that team on a bad team.
Cloud9 got him. He wins MVP, and Cloud9 are like, you know what? We dusty old fudge.
I actually want to fist fight LS in real life for that. Like, that's an actually atrocious change he made.
Oh shit!
Okay. Like that was just Fudge mid lane. Yeah, that was bad. That was really bad.
What?
Fudge mid lane was horrible.
I think he had a crush on Fudge or something. I don't know why. Well, like,
I get it.
So. Well, I'm just saying. I'm glad you replaced him in mid lane. I get that 100% because Fudge wasn't working out. Why did you put him in top instead of Summit? Summit was your best player.
Someone had a higher ceiling, but disrespected how NA players would play and would give over constant advantages for.
Oh, so you think that it should have been Summit getting replaced by?
No, I disagree with it. I disagree with it. Summit has a much higher ceiling and would have been better for them at Worlds than Fudge would be. But
let's make a GoFundMe and send him to FlyQuest so that guy and Raynor can be happy.
So, all right. More content is dropping on the channel, guys. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers this year for the channel. If I don't hit that goal, we'll get as far as we can. That's all I can hope for. With the LCS news that is going to be dropping very soon, I think that'll give the boosted channel it needs to hit 1,000 subscribers. And if I hit 1,000 subscribers, Mr. JTH is going to get on his knees and hit my butt.
Whoa.
I'm actually going to shoot your house up. I'm not joking.
Hey, man, shit, man. Ain't going to be the first crazy white person to be yelling and shit.
Not at his house, yeah. It's probably not even the first person to shoot it up.
If you guys are watching this on the replay, we will be live on my main channel tomorrow talking about anime and a lot of the latest topics from this week with Mr. This guy himself. Yeah, we are at 7 o'clock. Right? That was cringe. See you guys.